Let's start it back up. Let's do this thing. I am going to wait for a little bit, so while we wait for everybody, so if you want to fast forward a bit, that's all good. Well and good. What happened to my hand there? We're going to get going here in a bit. I just want to let people kind of trickle in. I might edit this out. Probably not, though. You can fast forward. It's not that hard. So, yeah. We are going to be doing week 5 of the beginner boost today. We're going to be doing more of that terminal goodness. We've just kind of been going, as you know, we've been going kind of slowly through everything, and just however long it takes. If it takes a year, fine. So there's really no agenda for how fast things are going to go. And again, this is the same way that I've been mentoring for years, based on one-on-one progress and doing things together and pair programming, that kind of thing. We are going to eventually cover programming in Bash and Go and maybe Python at the end, because I think those are the 3 languages that are really the most important for this kind of thing. We will be taking breaks, and I'm going to try to keep the Pomo sessions to 52 minutes. You may be interrupted. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about that. So I actually changed something. I changed it so that right now everybody gets a 3-minute ad for every hour. I changed that. I found the ad settings and they changed them. And we don't have Relax yet, Hades. I'm going to add it for you, though. I know you want it. You just start doing some Python. I think, look, again, the primary priority, what is our primary priority here? So the primary priority on this stream in general is helping people kind of become empowered. That means, learning tech skills, particularly in the operations and security space, so that they can get a good tech job if they wish, and use that to empower them to do whatever else. And that means, go outside, skateboard, go to art shows and gatherings, go, travel the world, become a digital nomad, whatever it is that you want to do. And recently I want to take a few moments to talk about something, and I'm going to zoom back in, and I'll put this in the notes. But recently, you can see over here, I have been building out what is an IRL rig. You just got hit with 9 ads. I'm sorry. That's because I don't have control of that. There's a 3-minute ad break for every hour. That's the current thing. And I'm going to let Twitch decide when you get those ads, and you can go back and watch the VODs if you miss a particular section. I'm super sorry, but I cannot disable ads short of dropping affiliate, which I'm not doing. So this is what it looks like. And I want to do this because the reason I'm going to take a break and I'm going to show you this. So this is my IRL rig, and it's the reason I want to show you this is because it's part of an object lesson. Hey, Saber. So this here is a Bella box. Guess what it runs? Raise your hand if you think you know what operating system it runs. I bet you can guess. Yeah, it runs Linux. And look at what these things run. These run Linux too. Guess what else runs Linux? These are all charged up so I can show you. What do you think these things run? What operating system do these things run? It's 2 Netgear modems. This is all part of my IRL kit. So if you OpenWRT, they probably do run OpenWRT. I don't know about these. These probably do. OpenWRT is a form of BSD, but they're all related to Unix, and that's one of the reasons I usually say Unix instead of Linux. But I wanted to start out this session by sharing kind of a story of what's been happening to me over since summer started over the last week. So if you go back and you watch my videos this week, I have been completely obsessed with being outside. And so I've been making this IRL rig, and I've been using Linux and BellaBox, the software that it uses, also written in Linux, BellaBox Cloud UI in Linux, By the way, on the here, let me show you something. Remember the SSH we learned yesterday? I'm trying to give you reasons to care beyond getting a great job. Okay, this is what I'm talking about doing. Hey, and on is to get reasons to care. Okay, actually, it's not on right now. I can't show you, but the Bella UI has a section. You can push a button and it says Advanced Settings. And guess what the number one thing under there is? Anybody want to guess? What do they consider advanced? Okay, so the Bella box is a Linux machine, right? And last week we talked a lot about what? We talked about last week and the week before, we talked about remote access using what? So this is kind of a review using the command line. Yes, using the command line. And how do we get access to something using a command line? How do we access something remotely using the command line? Yeah, SSH. So under the advanced section in the Bella box UI, you can click a thing. Yes, terminal. And you can click a thing and it says you can use SSH to connect to your Bella box. Now, why am I telling you all of this? Because I am primarily motivated by what you get with technology. People say, well, why do you know, people like do lead code because they like they're I don't know, they're masochists, sadists. They just want to hurt them. I'm joking. It's a joke. Okay. I'm not a lead coder. I code because I want something. And if you want something, Linux is one of the best things to create and add to your skill set, and the terminal, because I already knew all this Linux and stuff. Guess what? I was already able to like SSH in and create my own pipeline if I wanted to and things like that. I already had the skill. So the moral of the story here is the stuff that you're learning, that we're going to be learning in the next 4 or 5 hours, is specifically designed to give you power. It's designed to give you the power to have a job, to hack, to do IRL stream. And because of that skill, I was able to put together this rig, which then empowered me to start skateboarding again. So I have been, last night, I spent like the last 2 nights, I spent the entire nights, 4 hours each time, skateboarding in Charlotte and going in the sunsets and videotaping art openings and doing all this stuff that I really, really love. And people say, well, why do you do it? Like, why do you do tech? I do tech because of that, not because of the tech. Tech is fun and all, but that being able to do all of that tech enabled me to do this other thing that I really, really love. And so, yeah, so that is why I do it. And that might be the reason you do it. So whether you want a great job or you want to be able to skate in Charlotte and cover the entire thing, those are the reasons to invest in terminal skills and these base skills that we've been talking about. So let's just jump into it. I know that's a bunch of blah blah blah, but I like to set the stage for like why we're doing this every time. So let's it's been a week, so let's go review what we did last week. So let's go read up on, and if you want to skip this in the video, that's fine on YouTube. By the way, I want to tell everybody, I just noticed that the compression on YouTube is really, really horrible. So the only videos that I'll be posting to YouTube further are these videos. All my IRL and other videos, I will not be posting those to YouTube anymore. The YouTube just destroys the video. And a lot of times I'm doing art. And so I'm capturing art and I don't want to do it. How to connect to a VM session with SSH. So that was last week. Where are all my files? Where are my files and where are they? We got into the file system thing. We got into permissions a lot last week, if you remember. Yeah. How to do things as another user. We learned about sudo, how to rename a file. So we are not going to recap this other than to just read through it so we can remind ourselves where we are. If you did not practice these things over and over and over again by resetting your VM, then you might want to do that this next time. That is how you get good, is through repetition. Here's all the commands we use: IPC, chmod. We try to just add them as we go because I can't really predict when they're going to pop up. We started to do grep, and that kind of lead us into the other thing. We talked about some of these ways to practice your Linux skills in a fun way using picoctf and over the wire, particularly war games, the Bandit war game. These are 2 really great free resources for practicing your Linux SSH and all of your other command line skills in a way that's super entertaining. If you actually want to watch somebody do this live, I'm going to do another shout out for Anya Aniaski, who's actually streaming right now, I have a feeling. And I'm SKII, I think that's the thing. And because she's actually doing these things a lot. She's also been doing a lot of IRL streaming lately too. And that's fun. That's fun to see. So we have 05. So this is some stuff that we did not get to that we are going to get to this week. Okay. This stuff is all in the boost. I'm gonna put the boost in here. For those who don't know, you can go click on the boost and check out the links there if you want to. But that's what we're doing. And then we need to start a Pomo session here. Let me see if I can do that. My webcam's kind of out of Scawampus. Let's put it like there. All right, let's start a Pomo now, so that I can kind of judge our time. We're not going to do tmux yet. We're getting there, but we're not quite there yet. Z tmux in. All right. Pomo start. It should be what, 52? Okay, 52 minutes will do. And yeah, so let's go ahead and see what we got next here. I'm pretty sure we're going to do how to find things, and we're going to do globs, regexes. I think we're going to dive into regexes. I had been sort of predicting that VI is going to come next week. We might be able to get to some of VI today. I kind of want to spend the entire day on VI. So this will be the last day that we do file system expressions and grep and find and file and all of that. And we talk about how to make matches and stuff. This does not have anything to do with editing files yet. But I'm of the opinion that next week is going to be all VI. So we're not just going to do VI. We're going to do ed and nano and VI, and we're going to talk about all the ways to edit files on Linux. But right now, let's talk about that. We might be able to get to it today to get to the initial part. I already talked to you about VI Survive, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how much we can do. I do want to go through the entire Vim tutorial together and then show you all the things that it's missing. Again, this boost is the first boost in the last 3 years that we've done where I do everything with you. So that takes a lot longer. So rather than just telling you to go do it. So this day is entirely about finding files, matching criteria, including specific content in those files. One of the most important skills any ops engineer hacker. So today is about finding stuff. All right. And finding stuff is hard on a computer in general. I mean, let's give a sample here. All right. Ray, if you're on Windows or Mac, how would you find a file with a specific name? What are the techniques that you would use? Let's go ahead and throw some out, because I want to draw a contrast here. If you want to try the prune command, we're not going to do find prune. Find prune's awesome, but we're not going to do that. Yeah, you would use Windows search, right? You would use search of some kind. How would you do that? So let's actually talk about, this is actually something that's consistent across the board on all operating systems, but you would use find, right, Mubashi? Now, seriously, I didn't know about that one. That's not one I knew about. So if you're on Windows or Mac, if you're on Windows and you push the Windows key, you can usually just type the command that you want, right? But you can't really find the file. Now, I know some of you know about find and grep, but a lot of you don't know about that. So what would you even do? And when you ask somebody who's never gone on the command line how to find something, it's actually kind of frustrating. Did I tell you the story about the person who had no idea about the hierarchical file system? I think I did. And they didn't have any idea about it because they had not seen it before. And it's because, Mac kind of hides it from you. So, I mean, you might try to push this and search, you could type for, I don't know what kind of files I have on here. Because I could search for all my PDFs. Best match file, PDF file, open file location. So it found a script editor, search for it on the web. I mean, it's not particularly obvious, right? But what's really bad is that it's not, there's no way to, we need to talk about pipes too. Unix filters. We need to use Unix filters too. We're going to use Unix filters today and Unix philosophy, filters, and pipes. We got to cover that. I just remembered philosophy. filters, pipes, etc. And that's going to lead us into doing some other stuff. All right, so to find something on Unix, there's two ways. There's like finding a file. So let's do that. Let's go make a thing here. So finding a file. All right, we'll do finding a file. And so how do I find a file from the command line? I like putting them in the form of questions. I find a file command line. This is the question. From the Linux, we should probably put Linux. Yeah, it's Linux or Unix actually. Linux command line. I hurt my thumb. You see my thumb's all bruised? I was skateboarding like 2 days ago. It's kind of hard to type. All right, so let's go find that. So we're just going to introduce you to the find command. So here's the find command. Rip GNU. I don't put GNU in front of anything, just like I don't put X11 in front of everything, or GNOME, or any of the other major projects that have nothing to do with GNU. So here we go. Find. So find is the command. Find is by far the most powerful command on all of Linux, in my opinion. It is so underappreciated by veteran system administrators, and it's practically a language unto itself. I don't use whereas. I don't because whereas has to have the database updated, and I don't use them. And we are going to go pretty deeply into find today, but there's no way we're going to be able to cover it all because there's so much to it. It's, as I said, it's almost like an art form attributed to getopt, which is the thing that puts dashes in front of everything. There are so many different options that you can use, and we are going to do a few of those things today. So, and we're going to hit the number. We're going to think like system administrators, and we're going to use it to find a task. So, and we're going to think like hackers. So what are some things that you might want to add? So, and man, they've got everything. They got how much, how optimized should the search be? You got operators, you have a predicate, everything on the left and the right. The best way to learn this is just jump right in. You have okay, dur. I mean, it's just so much to it. So again, we're going to use the, tried and true method of putting our little black book together. So we're going to put our commands together. I hope you're keeping your commands in kind of a file, right? I don't like locate either. No, people use locate and whereas, and I don't. Find is way more powerful. Okay, so let's talk about the differences here. So let's do that. Since you guys brought it up, what is the difference between locate? Let's see, there's commands. So locate, whereis, and find. Anybody want to throw some differences out? Anybody want to start talking about them? I mean, they're just talking about it here. We're researching this. What are some differences? I've already kind of hinted at one, and I think is the main one. Locate is fine if you want laser search fast. If it's fast, what are the pros and cons to that? And I'm not writing these down. So, yeah. Why is it time consuming? Okay. Explain yourself. I know I'm being devil's advocate here. So, justify your position here. Why? I agree, but why? Interest between find. Well, why does find work in real time? Yep. Okay. So how would you know that? I'm doing the Socratic thing to you people. I'm playing the fool. I'm being Socratic about this. Okay. I'm deliberately asking you to ask the question. So how would you get that answer? How would you get that answer besides going to Google? Let's say you don't have Google right now. I know you would go to Google, but let's say if you didn't know where to go to Google. Let's say you knew about the commands because somebody, I don't know, like in a boost said something about these other commands, and you're like, there we go. So let's actually do that together. I'm deliberately doing this because I want to solidify these practices in you so that we can do this, right? I do search the internet regularly from the command line, which we will cover. But it's like the other day they were saying that's the only reason we want to keep you alive. I was doing the IRL streaming, risking my life, and they're like, just stay alive long enough to teach us how to search from the command line. Then you can die. So I promise I'll stay alive that long. I don't know. All right, so here we go. Ask the question on Stack Overflow, which is the same as okay. So actually let's cheat. Let's do that first, okay? I'm going to search from the command line. I'm going to do your answer first. So I'm actually going to copy this right here. I know. Uh-oh. What did I just do? Oh yeah. All right, so I'm gonna ask my little question here. Actually, that's not gonna work. You know why? Because I got backticks in it. What is the difference between locate, where is, and find? So we're searching the internet. Get downvoted and die. Well, the first hit on DuckDuckGo says the whereis. Why DuckDuckGo? We'll talk about it. The whereis command simply returns the location of executables, the man pages, and the sources of a program. See man whereis. Hey, big difference is that find searches real files recursively down a given directory. All right, there's another big difference. In other words, find takes where you are. You give the directory, the top level directory, and it doesn't go out of it. Whereis does not do that. Whereis searches a database that's on the system that you have to maintain, and a lot of times hasn't been set up. How many of you have gone on to like a cloud system someplace and noticed that there's no whereis? Has anybody ever had that happen? We're gonna try this right now. We're gonna do a little experiment. We're gonna run Docker run. God, my Docker is so rusty. I'm gonna have to look it up. Docker run. Let's say Alpine. All right, so let's see if we can run some Alpine. I didn't give it an exec though, so that might not actually work. We're gonna see. Docker meet the Fockers. That's it. That's the beauty of doing it live, right? Meet the download new inventory. Okay, download run. I don't do a Docker very much, so someone's gonna laugh at me, but I cannot remember my Docker commands. You know, I haven't done one in like 3 weeks. Docker execute. Wait. Docker run. I cannot remember. What kind of teacher am I? Someone tell me what to do. I'm doing like Kubernetes stuff because I'm totally been corrupted by Kubernetes now. Exec IT. I can't remember my Docker commands. I feel so ashamed. Docker, does the Docker run it? It's run it, right? Yeah. And then we're going to do, bash is the default, so that should work. There we go. Yay me. Thanks. Shh. I forget stuff all the time. My wife will tell you. Yeah. Anyway, here we are. Why did I do this? Which locate? Hey, there's no locate here. Which, where is? No, where is? How about find? Oh, hey, look. Alpine has bash by default. Yeah, it has ash by default. Yeah, it does. It runs. It's actually ash. Yeah. Which is, of course, BusyBox, right? Do people know this? Do we need to talk about this? We should probably talk about this. I don't know when the better time to talk about this is. Let's throw it in there. Let's talk, because we talked about file systems last time. So we're supposed to do file linking too. How do I link to a file directory? Yes. Let's put a thumbtack in that. We're going to come back to that. When we talk about linking, we will come back to that. Okay. What I'm trying to show you, so I'm answering the first question. The first question is why not use find versus locate versus whereis? And this is the reason I don't. The reason that I use find for everything, as I said, I can't even remember the Docker command from 3 weeks ago, let alone, 3 different ways to search for something, right? Don't swear. This is a rated happy stream right now. Please don't swear. I'm just asking nice. Okay. Okay, so here we go. So we've got find, we got whereis, and we got locate. I can't find it, lol. All right. So locate and whereis need a database. They also don't restrict the location. They just give it to you wherever it is, right? And there's also another command called which will give you, where it's at. And we've talked about which, it's already been covered. There's also another one called type, and type will give you the thing even if it's not a command. And sometimes you'll see about aliases. We haven't gotten into aliases, so we will definitely get into that. All right, so that's the answer. The answer is quite simply, most systems don't have whereas or locate set up. And if they do have them, the chances of them having indexed the database of commands is almost always 0. I've never been on a system where the administrators set up whereis and locate to give you the right thing. So I don't even think it's on my VM. Let's go check which whereis. Okay, so Ubuntu server has whereis. That's good to know. Let's do locate. So there's no locate. So let's do whereis find. Oh, say it shows you that there's user bin find. It tells you where the man pages are. That's kind of cool. So there's a difference. Another difference is that whereis will give you more information about where the man pages are. This is actually one of my biggest pet peeves about these kinds of things. They usually don't have the cron job updating update.db. I know that's Patroclus. That's exactly my point. And so find is reliable. Find is always there. If you hack a system, the chances of it having find are high. And one of the commands we're going to do next is going to show you how to find all the files on the system, which is an answer to one of the challenges in Bandit on Over the Wire. Is how do you find all? We talked about permissions last time, right? So how do you find the files that have read write by anybody, right? How can you get to those files and hack them or close them down if you're trying to protect the system? These are things that you're going to need find for that whereas is not going to do. In fact, I personally think that learning whereas and locate is a waste of time, but that's kind of a big side road down. But since a few of you mentioned it, I thought I'd bring it up. Okay, so we covered that. Let's actually get into find comes with Alpine by default because it is a part of BusyBox, which is kind of a good segue into linking. And I think we should probably talk about linking next. Okay. I mean, well, how many examples of find do we need to do? How many should we use? Let's do 3 examples of find, because I mean, come on, we could do an infinite number of find examples right now, and we've only got 34 minutes. Let's say, okay, I'll tell you what, for the rest of this session, let's do the most useful find commands that come to mind from the community, and I'll share some of mine, and you can share some of yours, and you want to put these down in your recipes area of your notes, okay? I'll put them here, but we're going to do some things. So let's say you want to find, like, you want to list every file in a system. Now this one that I'm going to do right now is kind of this is kind of the same, sort of the same as ls dash not, yeah, l one, I would say. Let's see how similar we can make those, shall we? So if you do ls, we need to get on our, I mean, I can do this stuff here. So you could do find dot, right? This guy gives me all of my files. And that's like literally all the files. We did the pager already, yeah? Did we do the pager? We did pager last week. Pipe to more or to less or either one. I think we covered pager already. So let's do that. We're going to do find pipe to more. I use more. My more is mapped to less. And then it gives you, the thing I like about this is it's very recursive, and this works everywhere. It works on every version of Unix on the planet, or Linux. And this kind of recursive listing of what's everything that's in a directory. This is, by the way, this thing that I just showed you is how that I found a rat's nest from a hacker who had invaded my system back in 2000. Actually, was it? God, I went. Yeah, it was no. It had been 2002. I want to say. Anyway, because why? Because they had not Trojan the find command. I just read last week about a new attack, some attack software that will hide. It uses Ebpf and some stuff to make it so you can't see anything, right? So the find command is a really great way when the first thing a hacker is going to do to you is they're going to Trojan. That means they're going to put malicious code and they're going to take over the common commands for showing that they are there. They're going to take over ls. They're going to take over ps. Some really good hackers will start to even redirect traffic on the IP network so that when you do netstat and stuff, you don't even see the traffic because they will drop the packets if they detect certain things are running, so you can't even see them. They're like virtually invisible. And just last week there was a new release of a kit that's even better now. It actually uses the new Linux Ebpf, which is, I knew this was going to happen eventually, to cause it so that they're completely, totally stealth, virtually undetectable. Yeah. And did you see that, Tony Fa? Tony Fa is one of our security people. And it's absolutely amazing. Yeah, they hide the PID, they hide everything. So you may be hacked and not even know it. But if you're being hacked by one of the more, traditional rootkits out there, you'll easily be able to find, I don't remember the kit's name, and I really would not like to put it out here right now. Please do that research yourself. If somebody wants to find a link, that's fine. But I don't want to tell people about that because there is no white hat reason for using that other than understanding that how to detect it as a research project. So, with regard to Twitch terms of service, this is a beginner boost, but it's a pretty big deal. I just want to make sure how does this relate to find though? Right. So with find, if somebody has Trojan your ls command, which they probably will, find is much harder to Trojan because it's very complicated, right? It's very unlikely that they're going to Trojan find. And so you can come in here and you can see all of the stuff here, right? That same command is ls-l, I think 1, right? And that will show you all the stuff, but it doesn't show you recursively. And then for that, you could do the double globs. And this is going to bring us to the globstar stuff, which we will get to. We're not there yet, but we will get to that. Okay, so this kind of shows you recursively, what's up. There's different ways to do it. I just find to be kind of cleaner. If you just want to see it, right? If you do find with a -ls, it'll actually show you more information and you can see the permissions while you go. Now it's hard to see because I'm kind of, cramped here because of the whole streaming thing. And so, yes. And so here we can see, please don't geek out too much about Ebpf. We're still on the boost. I don't want people to get overwhelmed. Ebpf, for those who are just brand new to Linux, is a new kernel technology which allows, that thing about permissions we talked about last week? It allows users to do things in the kernel that were normally reserved for root only before, and in a controlled way. And it's supposed to be for helping applications do things that normally a kernel mod would have to be written to do, and such as monitoring traffic and stuff. But it's also being used for nefarious purposes to block the detection of certain things. And it's a pretty controversial, amazing thing. If you're going to be in the security space and you're going to get into Linux, it would be Ebpf is the thing to look at. It's a very high level topic. It's not something I'd recommend to beginners, but it was initially built for building firewalls. Yes. But if you hear about it, I don't want, people to get too caught up in the weeds on this. I just use that. It is a security nightmare. It absolutely is. And we knew it would be, but, and you can disable it, blah, blah, blah. So the only reason I mentioned it is because I wanted to talk about one method for making ls not do what find can do, because the topic right now is find. So if you don't take anything else away from this, take this away. Find finds things that ls will not show you when a hacker takes it over. And that's almost always the case. Find is also more likely to be on a system than whereas or locate. And even if they're there, they're usually not going to have their databases updated because they require a database. Find does not. Find is a little bit slower because it has to, sequentially go through everything. There's no, concurrency going on there at all. But that's just kind of how it goes. So Docker wouldn't be possible without it. Yeah. Docker, well, we're not going to talk about that. Don't take us down that road, Tanifa. All right, so we have find dot. By the way, what does dot mean? It means the current directory. So remember that from before. It gives you a nice, happy little list. If you want to do ls to get the longer form, you can do that. If you want to have a copy of it, and this is going to introduce us to redirection. So I'm going to introduce redirection in kind of a weird way. So did we do redirection already? I don't know if we want to do it all at once. I think we should though. Okay, tell you what, we'll do redirection right after this. We'll read it right after. We have a few more find commands to do. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of the pipes and the redirects, and we'll talk about redirection after this. All right, we need to do redirection. I think indirection, time for T, and all that. Yeah, we haven't covered indirection at all. How do I save output to a file? Okay, we'll cover that next. I don't want to forget some of these. All right, so let's just do the commands, okay? So we got find dot, and then we have, find dot ls. If you want the dog, I'm sorry for the dog. This is why I don't try to hide my family. Hey, I'm streaming in here. Maybe it's time for a break. My wife's trying to train the dog by giving her pizza. I'm streaming in here. No speak, she says. No speak. I know. You guys know my dog, right? She needs her own command. We don't have a command for her yet. This is a pomo happening. There is a pomo. Yeah, it's happening right down here. We got 25 minutes left on this pomo. Okay. So we got find dot dash ls. What else we got? How about let's find, this is another really common one. So, all right, I'm going to give you the challenge. Okay. Okay. I tell you what, let's break these up. Okay. Let's break these up and then we'll do them together. So let's pair program this. Okay. There are several different commands. Let's see, how do I find, all the files? How do I find all the files in a directory and subdirectory? And we kind of covered that one already. So I'm going to just do that one. Okay, but the next one, how do I find, we did this, so I could probably back it up. I don't need to put the how, I'm just going to do it because it's too much. Find all the files in a directory and subdirectories. And that we did that how many minutes ago? Maybe 5 minutes ago. All right, there we go. All right, so here's one. Find all the files recursively. Find only the files. Whoops. Find only the files recursively. All right, let's do that one. Yeah. You don't need the dot stuff. Okay, find only directories beginning with dot. All right, so here's some challenges for you. Okay, how do you do that one? Here, let's find only. Let's find all files with set UID perms on computer. And that's going to lead us right into the redirect thing, because there's like, you got to redirect stuff to dev null. We talked about set UID perms last week. We're not going to talk about it again. Find only directories beginning with dot. Find only the files recursively. Find all files that have been created or modified in last hour. There's a good one. Okay, how about this? Find all files that are bigger than 10 megabytes. These are things that can only be done with find. I mean, you could write your own find, but all right. I think this is a lot of find stuff, and that's going to take us through the next 21 minutes or so. So let's do this. Let's do this together. And when you get an answer, when you get one of your answers, please post your answer in the chat. Okay. And yes. Okay. So let's type this. Okay. So, there's good. Only dot files. Good job, Top Attains. All right. So let's do that one. So let's try that one. Which one is that? Only find files. What did I put? No. Well, I think you want D on that, Taffetains. That's only dot files. I said only directories beginning with dot. Let's make one for yours though. So find only the dot files beginning with dot. So Taffetains has got that one already. Yeah. Okay, ZQ, good job. Okay, so let's do this. Let's actually split it here. So let's do the first one. So find dot type F. You notice you have to have the dash type, right? Dash type F. And so first of all, let's find all the files recursively. So that's what we just did. We're just going to find all the files. Okay. This is pretty easy. So they probably skipped it because it was too easy. But so they're probably one of the switches you're going to use the most. A switch is a thing with a dash, a switch or an option, whatever you want to call it. So that says find everything in the current directory on down that has a type F, type D for directory, and there's other forms, but those are the main ones. And so let's do that. So there's all the files. Notice how there's no directories there, right? There's no directories. It's just files. Okay. And then if we do, look at that. We got a lot of answers. This is fantastic. Thank you for the help. So let's find only the files beginning with dot. All right. I'm going to put my ISOSEX in here. Or say we do exactly the same command we just did, but let's add more to it. Right? Let's say I only want the ones that begin with dot. So name. Now, something about the name thing that you want to be really careful with. You always want to put double quotes around the name, because that star is going to have different meaning outside of double quotes. And that I'm going to come back to that later when we talk about globbing. So you want to look at anything that's got a dot and then star, and that is a specific syntax. It happens to be similar to glob syntax for the regular bash shell, but it is globbing, and a star means anything, right? I mean, it will gobble up as many things as possible. So did you just make that mistake? It's a very common mistake, actually. I do it all the time. So, wow, NEASC, how are you doing? So we were just talking about you. So where we're going to find a type with name, and hey, there's nothing that begins with dot. I have no hidden files in there. Okay, but what do I maybe have? All right, so I had no files that are hidden that way. But by the way, it's doing it from dot. What if I changed it to tilde? By the way, what does tilde mean? What does tilde mean, my friends? What does tilde mean? We talked about that before. It means home. Yeah, good. So now we do that and we go through and oh my heck, look at all of these files that begin with dot. Right? And that's interesting because that was not just directories. Yeah. Oh, no, it was files. Because look, see right here, dot get ignore. Yeah. I think we can actually do a predicate here. Is it dash name? I can't remember. What's the predicate for it? What's the predicate just for the actual file name? I can't remember it. I'm kind of going above and beyond here. Does anybody remember it? There's a predicate. So, so there's predicate and then there's the rest. So this stuff here is like the match criteria. And then all of the stuff that comes after that is what to do with it. And there is a way to list it out. There's a way to chop this so you don't get the whole thing. If I just wanted the file name, but I don't remember it right now, so I'm going to go look for it under man. I don't remember it all. If anybody else remember it, there's a way to kind of like just print out a piece of the output. I think it's printf. Yeah, I think it is printf. It performs on all files. The whole expression is true unless it contains an action, print, or quit. Okay, so let's try print. Oh, no, that's not it. I think we want printf, but then I have to figure out which one it is. I don't remember. fls print exec directory. Is it percent %f? Thank you. So percent %f. All right, there. Oh my gosh, that's just the names. Look at that. And you can put a backslash there. I think it is C-style printf. That's good because I've forgotten that one. So it's good to look it up. I mean, I don't mind letting everybody know that I cannot memorize this stuff. Yeah, so there's a ton of files. You know what's really cool about this is that we can I'm kind of getting ahead of ourselves here, but we could actually sort that. Yeah, I'm just going to give you a window of what's coming next. But we could actually sort that, right? And then we could count it. I think it's SN or C. I'm gonna turn permission denied off. Give me a sec here. We're gonna debug. We're gonna learn all of this. I don't want you to fret here. To dev null. We're gonna unpack all of this today, but I kind of want to give you a sense of it. Oops. What am I doing wrong? Oh, duh. Okay, sort. Is it dash n? I think it is. Yeah. I can't catch up. I'm sorry. You can go to the boost. My gosh. We need to do a T on this because this is taking forever. Yeah, I mean, I did it against the whole entire home directory, which is probably a bad idea. Anyway, we're going to cover all that. So that just shows you all the files, right? And there's lots of get ignore files. So if we wanted to see what files, we could do all kinds of creative stuff. And that's the point. The point here is all of the stuff that can be done just through, messing with things and changing it and, minor adjustments to it to get it to do what you want to do. Find is like the world's best command for hackers. It's used for all kinds of things. You can use this to detect that you've been hacked. You can use it. By the way, how would you do that? How would you do that? How could you use find to detect if you've been hacked? Give me some ideas. Find directories with being got. And we did this one already, but I'm gonna do it again. Something with date. Yes. Exactly. You're thinking like a hacker, right? Okay, somebody actually already gave us the command for that, but somebody look through the man page. Somebody look through the man page and see if you can find the switch. I'm having you do this yourself because you'll learn it better this way. All right. Somebody look through the man page and find the switch that you would use to tell you that you would use. Come up with a command and come up with your best option here. Come up with put your hacker cap on and think or security cap. And you're like, what command could I do that would show me information that might lead me to think that I've been hacked. All right. And I want you to kind of brainstorm for yourself what that would be. There's several things you could look for, but there's some pretty basic ones too. And some of them are on the screen already, but how would you do that? And what is a specific command for that? Now I can tell you the command, but I would much rather you go find it in the man page, because you'll remember where you found it and then you'll go find it again. How many times have I forgotten a command today and had to go look it up? There's no shame in forgetting Linux commands. It's a common thing. There's just way too many to memorize. That's why we keep track of them and make notes and stuff. All right, so here, let's do directories beginning with dot. We did this one already. Oh, that's very, very good, Taffetains. That's a good one too. Yeah, that's like what's the one though? You're very close to what I would do. Yeah, I have to look it up every time, by the way. And by this, we're going to learn how to put all of these into a script in case you forget, and then you can just do that instead of having to look it up. Modification within the last 24 hours. Yep. That's the one that I like the most, actually. You can change that, by the way, to be less than 1 hour. You can do fractionals, right? So you can make it into minutes and stuff. Let's actually try that. First of all, let's show me all the directories. Let's show all of the hidden directories, shall we? So this is going to show all the directories beginning with dot. All right. So as you can see, there's lots of Git directories and stuff like this, right? So that shows you all the directories. We got that one done. Show me all the files that have been modified in the last hour. And this is kind of where we are. This is the one. It's the same command for 24 hours versus 1 hour, right? We just have to modify it. And so you want M time on this. There's actually created or modified in the last hour. So let's try that. So let's do find. There's probably not going to be much in here. Let's try though. So modified. Do we want to just do files? Or how about anything? Let's do anything. Okay. We'll say anything in the dot with the M time of +1. All right. So that would be anything that got edited actually greater than a day ago. I think we got this wrong, actually. Yeah, I think it's minus. And I have to go look. I have to look it up every time. So I always have to look it up. It's probably better that I not have to look it up, but I do. It's definitely M time, but what do we want on M time? It might be -1 actually. I think it's okay. Measurement times. You can do minutes, and it's not, the A is for access and the C is for, I think, creation. You generally want the M because that will give you whether it was modified or created. That means if somebody's messed with it from the beginning of today rather than 24 hours ago. Measure times from the beginning of today rather than 24 hours ago. This option only affects tests which appear later on the command line. All right, so let's go look at, I want to see day start. Oh, day start. Interesting. I didn't know about the day start. I just learned about that today. So let's actually go look at, oh, wow, look at that command. That's amazing. Yes, so we're going to unpack ping's command in a bit. That's a really great command. But put that in your list. Copy that command down and write that down and put that in your list too. And I'll try to get them all in here. But I don't want to get you all the answers. You should be able to do it. Regular expressions we haven't talked about. We're going to talk about those later today because all of this stuff about searching and everything, globbing and regex, to kind of all go together. So we're going to hit that really hard today. Warning, we're not going to do that. Well, let's look for our M time. All right, so M time, files data was last modified N times 24 hours ago. And that's why I don't use M time usually. It was last modified hours ago. See the comments for A time to understand how to write. I actually think we have to have minus in front of it in order to get the ones that were, because all of these are the ones that were older than that. I think you have to do a minus. Let's try a minus. So minus would be everything that was changed within the last 24 hours. And there we go. That's the one we wanted. We wanted a minus. And so that's the minus says, give me everything, during the last 24 hours. And if you do it with just a positive number, it shows you everything that was modified older than that. So that's not as useful a command to me. We want to have minus. And if you want to do stuff in a minute range, and this is actually kind of a fun thing to do on your home directory because, when you log in, stuff changes, right? So here's all the stuff that's changed. Look at that. Look at all the Docker container stuff. There's like my WeChat logs. There's like my boost stuff, my Zettelkasten. Oh, hey, look, my variables. These are all things that changed within the last day in my home directory. Let's do mmin. Okay, let's say I want to see everything that's changed since the boost started, which is about 60 minutes ago, right? So let's do -60 and see what's changed there. And wow, I mean, we still have a lot of stuff, right? What's changed within the last like 5 minutes? Anything? Oh, lots of permission denied. Let me turn off those permission denieds for a bit. 2 goes to dev null. Okay, so so those are the files that were changed within the last 5 minutes, right? And let's add that one. That's a good one. Let's do that. So add an isosec for that. All right, I'm going to hit this pretty hard because, as I said, find anything modified in last 5 minutes. Okay, so as you can see, you can actually combine this to do all kinds of fun stuff. Once you know how you had to put it in a cron job or to run it in a script, you can just keep running it, and if you can actually make your own auto updater. So let's say you just wanted to watch a directory, right? You could just continually watch that directory for anything that's new, and you could do something on it, even though you're not changing any of the files in there. And depending on how many files, I mean, you wouldn't want to fill it up, but you can do all kinds of like cool things there. A lot of Firefox cache, yeah, because you've been looking at that. So this is a really interesting command. This command all by itself is the equivalent of a software, security software called Tripwire back in the day, which would show everything on the system that had changed since a given time. Can anybody think of a way that you could improve this in order to set up a regular hacker detector? We're going to talk about that right now, Illusion. We're going to move right into that. We're going to do redirection. Did you guys do the 10 megabyte thing? I'm going to let you do that one on your own. I'm going to delete that one. The setuid one is worth doing though. Let's do that one together and then we'll move on. So that's about redirection, right? How do I silence errors? We're going to talk about that. Yes, that's what we're doing. We have 5 more minutes. So let's stay with find for 5 minutes, then we'll take a break. We'll take a 10-minute break. And after that, we'll come back. Who's got the setuid one for us? That's a really big one. It's also an answer to one of the bandit issues. I can use the semi-server to see what the last change was made. Yeah. So there's 2 things during the break. If somebody wants to try something during the break, create the command that you would use, that you would run every day to detect what would the algorithm be. You don't even have to know any code. Think about how, just write down and just plain old text. And after the break, I want to see what you come up with. How could you make, in a few lines of code actually, a system that detects a hacker on your machine? Okay, so write that down. That's going to be for the break. The break's not coming for another 5 minutes. We got another 5 minutes to do this setuid thing. But these things are all related. So, and you don't have to know the code yet, but we're going to come back to that because we're going to write that. In Bash, we're going to write it. Later on, we're going to write it, okay? And by the way, to write a script is basically just taking these commands and putting them in a file. And we're going to learn how to edit files in VI next week, in Nano and all that. We'll do that next week, but that's really all it is. Tilde is home. Yes. I don't know. So let's do the setuid one. I think somebody already did that. Again, I'm going to have to look it up. So I don't know it offhand. I have to look it up. So we're looking for the perms with setuid. So I know it's something about perms. So we're going to go look for that. And where is perms? I don't remember perms. I have to look it up. There it is. Perm test. All right. Executable. Ooh. Matches files that are executable in directories where are searchable. I didn't know that was the thing. There's just so many stuff there. False fs type. Perms test ignores. Okay, this test makes use of the access system call. Okay. Dash perm. Where's dash perm? iname, ipath. There's so many things to look up here. There's no way we can cover them all, but it's so, as I said, Find is probably the least appreciated, most powerful command in all of Linux and Unixdom. I think it is. I have done so many things using just find, including the challenge I gave you for the break. And no group, no user path. Let's see if we can find. Okay, here we go. Okay, we talked about perms last time, so you should know what this means, right? So file permission bits are exactly mode, octal or symbolic. We haven't talked about octal yet. When we do coding, we're going to talk about octal. So we'll get there. And then we're going to talk about symbolic. Patroclus, it's very common to underestimate find. I know, as I said, I know very few veterans who even truly know it. And even I have to look up all the possibilities every time I use it. It's so powerful. So symbolic, we have symbolic here. So let's try symbolic. So what would this set UID be that we want? It would be, how about, would it be equals S? Should we try that? Again, let's just try this together. I'm going to get myself another little tmux window. We are going to learn tmux, I promise. I know y'all are kind of wanting to do that now, but all right, so let's do that. Let's say all the stuff on this system. So find slash, which is going to go through your whole machine. You'll hear your disk grinding when you do this. And if you do sudo, yeah, this you should probably do sudo for, but be careful with sudo. We talked about the dangers of sudo, right? You're not doing any exec. We're not even going to cover exec. Okay. I'm just going to tell you that find has a thing called exec that for everything that it actually finds, it will run a program on it. And we're not going to cover that until we cover grep. And we're going to hit grep next. Yeah. So we're going to find slash, and we're going to say dash perms, and we'll say, perm, let's do, what should we do? Should we just do equal S? Does you think that's going to find anything? I mean, I'm going to do the redirect of dev null, which I promised to immediately tell you about. We got to redirect to, I know you don't know what that is yet, but you will. So let's see if there's anything that we can see here. I mean, this I don't know. I don't even know if there's anything on the system that's going to have this. Did I get it right, by the way? Is it equal S? Where is the file that would be S? Is it U equals S? I think it is U equals S. I think equals S is just like anything equals S, right? Yeah, we're about ready to take our break here. We can play around with this during the break. Yeah, I stopped finding anything. Let me try a sudo. I might have to do U equals S. Here, I know. Let me test it. Well, we can do that during the break. Firm 400 for octal. Yeah, we can do that. 6 heads. I know. I'm sorry. Yeah. So here we go. Yeah, we need to take a break. So let's do that. We'll take a 10-minute break. Do I need to redo the ad thing? Did you guys get interrupted through the ads? If you got interrupted on the ads, then I have to go back to a different thing. So I'll do it during the break right now. Yeah, but there's a way to do it. So there's a way to do the ad blocking thing, so it's not a big of a deal. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I kind of would like it to be okay to get the ads at the given time. I mean, it does support the stream and everything, but but I don't really care. I mean, the main thing I want is for you to not be interrupted. If anybody's been interrupted by an ad, I need to know right away, because it means that something in my setup is wrong. So what they tell me here is that the ads, I changed to use, I use their active ad policy thing, and I don't feel like it's working actually. So I have to find where that is. Add ads manager. You need to track and snooze ads. Yeah, there's a way for it to tell you that ads are coming, apparently. So how it works. Next, control when ads run. Next, get more time if needed. Next, set up a schedule. Done. I think I did all of that. Okay, so there is an ads manager. All right, running 3-minute manually will remove. Stream segment. All right, so there should be no ads right now. Did you guys get ads? Yeah. Okay, so I just turned on, here, I'll show you. I just turned Twitch's ad manager on, and it's supposed to tell me when an ad's coming up so that I can snooze it. Okay. Ad starts in 4 seconds. No, snooze. How many can I snooze? This is a new thing for me, so I apologize. We're on a break right now, and I'm trying to figure. We were doing it another way before, and it seems to work. Snooze. You only get 3 snoozes, but then it's like in 10 minutes, it's like it sticks it back here. I know it's like, you know what I mean? It's supposed to be 1 3-minute ad for every hour. I'm gonna try this. Okay, so see what it did? Pre-roll ads are disabled for 62 minutes. Next auto ad is reduced by 3 minutes. I don't even know what that means. Ad in progress. I'm going to try. This is their new system, and I'm going to try to learn it. So it gives you more direct control over the ads. You can actually see when they're going to run. I know they force you to do them, but at least this way I know they're coming. You see what I'm saying? And it tells you when the ads are in progress. So this clears us from 60. We had 61 minutes of pre-roll, like a Skinner box. So, I mean, the worst thing you can do on a stream like this one that we're doing is have somebody be interrupted. I know Jalopy just got interrupted and got really angry, which is normal for Jalopy. But I'm just trying to get my head around how to control the ads better. And they gave us this new tool relatively recently. So I figure it's worth experimenting with, unfortunately, on you, because I can't test it. There's no way for me to test it unless I actually am doing it with you. It does promise us that we have 60 minutes of no ads, which, by the way, is more than we've ever had before. There was a thing I went in here. I actually changed the slider, and it gave me, for every 3 minutes of ads, it gives us 60 minutes of no pre-roll, which was better. Before we had to have 12 minutes. So that is an extremely good thing to have. I really like that that's a thing. Summarize when you did it. So I just resubbed. I promise I'm not trying to force you to resub. I really am not. I am trying to manage this ad manager, which I have never used before, but I feel like, and I think, Anya can kind of appreciate this. It's important when you're doing a session, especially if you're doing something like, can you imagine like breaking a level on Over the Wire or Hack the Box or something, and then having an ad hit right when you do it? And then not saving VODs. Okay, see? There. You see, it tells me the ad's going to come up, but it's like 15, 30, 45 an hour. There's the next ad. So we got 59 minutes after this. Did it happen to you? Exactly. So I think it's worth going through the pain. I apologize. This is an ad break, so I'm kind of burning this end. when I got hacked over the wire. Oh gosh, really? And nobody could see it. It's fun to hack people on over the wire, by the way. Did somebody figure it out? You can mess with the TTY and like really hack people. Yeah. Is Offensive Security going to provide an entire OSCP course on Twitch for free without cert? Of course, it's going to be like a boost. Oh, are they doing it? Oh my gosh. You got to let me know of that. I love OSCP. Yeah. An entire OSCP course on Twitch for free without cert, of course. It's going to be like boost as well. Seems like you're changing the industry. If they've been watching, if they've been at all motivated by what I've been doing, I'm super happy about that. When are they going to do that? We gotta make sure that we never ever step on their toes, because I want to go to it. And I want to send everybody to it, because that's obviously the thing to do in addition to boost, right? The OSCP is going to be focused primarily on security, obviously. But it will get into Linux and some of that stuff. 22nd of June, that's phenomenal. I'm sure happy. God, if I could take even like one iota of credit for maybe putting a bug of it in their ear, or some sort of idea, that would be great. They're probably going to be very interested in how to manage ads as well, because I could just see one of their people doing it. I actually really enjoy watching the OSCP streams. Yeah, I do, and they have a similar style. Yeah, 25 weeks, 1 hour sessions each. Yeah, that's phenomenal. I'm gonna go to every one. Siren's doing them. Yeah, Siren was in the last one I was watching, and Siren's awesome. They're awesome. Yeah. And they have very much the same style. They're like, okay, you tell me what to do. The only difference is Siren knows exactly what comes next. Sometimes I actually have to look it up, because I'm more of a pair programmer guy. I don't always remember everything. And frankly, I want you to see that. I don't want you to see this persona of someone who knows all the answers, because that's not how hackers are. That's not how system admins are. That's not how anybody is in the tech industry. Very few people have like photographic memories and have every command memorized. And it's one of the biggest sources of imposter. So if you want to drop a link, that'd be great. Yeah. It's one of the biggest sources of imposter syndrome out there, because people think they have to know everything, and yeah, it's you need to know that doing the research is the thing you need to get good at, and owning the fact that you don't know something. Pretending you don't know something so you can puff your chest up and flex or whatever is dumb. It's just dumb, and it doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help the people who are trusting you. It doesn't help. They need to understand that where you're at, and are you going to not get a job because of it? If you're not going to get a job because of it, then you dodged a bullet. Because anybody who is actually serious in this industry knows that most of this stuff is so complex and changes so rapidly that even something like the find command that's been the same thing for like 35 years, they know that it doesn't change. So it's a fun little rant there, but let's go back to something more useful than my ranting. I encourage people to get into hacking your dev. Yeah, with beginner experience. Exactly. Anya, I've been saying that, and I think you probably heard me saying it as well. I think that beginners need to stream. People need to see people being beginners so that they can be motivated to be a beginner and go for it, warts and all. Yes, absolutely. And God knows I have tons, and I've been doing this a very long time. But there are other things that come more naturally to me because I do them every day, like VI. I can't even tell you how to use VI because my fingers have memorized it completely. So I have to stop and think about how to type that particular thing because my fingers have memorized it. And that's not a flex. It's just the nature of the beast, So let's do that. All right. So let's go. Let's go back. Did anybody take me on that challenge? Let's start a new poem. But did anybody take me up on the challenge? Did anybody take me up on the challenge about what are the steps that you would do to write a hacker detector? Kinesthetic memory. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Kinesthetic memory is totally a thing. It absolutely is a thing. I completely agree. Oh, whoops. I don't know what's up with my things here. Neo. If somebody's hacking you, if you track the changes in the directories, 2 different directory trees are being modified in seconds away. Yes. Okay. Great. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's the sense of it. If if there's anybody who wants to take on, oh, it's my wife's thing. If there's anybody who wants to take, is it making noise? It's not making noise, is it? I better close that just in case. This is our longboarding last night, and that's Hannah, who runs the art gallery. We were doing video stuff earlier. Yeah, if you want to go see the art gallery, but we'll talk about that later. All right, so where am I? Anybody want to try? I think you covered it, right? So what would be the plan? The plan would be to run all of those things, run the find, check all the things that changed, and put that in a file, and sort the file, right? And then what? And then you would do it again. And essentially, you don't know how to do this yet, but you would compare the output from the one to the other one. And then there's going to be files that are going to change all the time, like logs and stuff. What would you do with those? Yeah. You can't find bin last. Bin last would be good, but you can't really. First of all, any hacker who puts anything in bin last is an idiot. Not an idiot, a bad hacker. How about that? They're a bad hacker. Yeah. I mean, there's grep-v. Okay, that's one way. Yeah, you haven't. There's some commands, and I'm glad this is why I'm talking about it, because we're actually going to do grep now. Okay, we're going to do redirection, and then we're going to do grep, and then we're going to do globbing, and that's going to be the whole day. So, and we're going to maybe get into regex. We might have to end up doing that on its own day. Let me start a new pomo. Pomo start. My computer's getting slower. What's my uptime? Did you see that? Oh, my load's down. Okay. It was lagging there for a bit. All right. So we're going to learn about, I'm going to take that one out because I didn't timestamp it, but you get the point. How to save output to a file. Okay. So we need to do output to a file. We need to do links. We need to do error silencing. And let's see, we already did how to, we're going to do grep next. Okay. So let's do this. Okay. And I don't know if we're going to do standard in yet, but because we'll wait until we do pipes. Okay. So let's do the first one. How do you save output to a file? Some of you who know out there, you're welcome to print in the answers if you want to. How do you save an output to file? So let's say you want to take all the files that were modified within the last 5 minutes, and you want to put those in a file. Where would you write that, by the way? Here's a review of your file system review. Remember we went through all the different places, all the different directories and slash? We did it very, very quickly. Did anybody go into that? Where is the best directory to write something that you don't want to be around for a long time? It's just junk. But you want it, but it's just kind of a junk file. It's kind of a, just a temporary thing. It's kind of a hint. I tried really hard not to use the word temporary. I tried really hard. Gosh, dang it. I gave it to you. Yeah, /temp. Okay, so. Or that's even better. Ooh. Why? Patrick Klaus, explain that one to us. That's a fun one. I'm going to let you explain it since you brought it up. It's so cool. You know what? I was like N years old when I found out that dev sh-mem was no longer /temp. Yeah, we did talk. We covered that really briefly a couple weeks ago. By the way, what's the difference on Ubuntu Linux, specifically between /temp and /dev/shm? Anybody? What's the difference? What's the difference between /temp on Ubuntu and dev shm? A lot of people don't know this. I found this out on the stream actually in 2020, I want to say, because they changed it, and BSD still does it the old way, and AIX still does it the old way. We covered it again. We covered this a couple weeks back, so this is a little bit of a bonus question. I would give points if I had them. No. SMH, no. SHMs, what is SHM? There is no SSM on Kali Linux? All right, let's try something else here. I'm going to keep giving you some hints, okay? What's ls-ld/temp? Whoops. All right. Oops. God damn it. I'm such a bad person. Did I do D? Oh my God. Look at that. It's owned by root. All right, let's do ls-ld. You should know that because we did already, right? What the heck? These things are different, right? Okay, we talked about this so briefly. Probably none of you remember it, but I want you to see this difference. So, sorry, df. So that command I just did was df. That shows you the different file systems. And we're not going to go deeply into files. This is a boost. If you're going to go down, the OSCP people are going to cover it a lot more deeply, so I don't really need to. These are all different file systems that have been mounted. But look at this here, tempfs, right? Now, what I find fascinating here, and I'm going to put this in the notes. Okay, what is difference between /temp and /dev shm? Okay. Oopsie. I am an idiot today. All right, I need a command for that. I need a filter. All right, so what's the difference? Yes. Yes, exactly. And that's why I was surprised. Does anybody know of a Unix system where /temp is still a tempfs? So what is a tempfs? A tempfs is a file system that lives in RAM. And that means that when Arch still has it, okay. When Ubuntu /temp is not a tempfs, it's under /. So I used to think it was. In fact, I was surprised when I went to go look at /temp, and I was like, "There's no /temp under tempfs." If you write anything into dev shm and you reboot the computer, what happens to that data? It's not complete. Proc is a special file system. It's a different type of file system. A tempfs specifically, proc has a special type. /proc is its own. It's not even really a file system. It's a pseudo file system, or it's just a way to communicate with the kernel. But dev shm is an actual file system. It's just been written to memory, and memory is volatile. That means that when the computer gets rebooted, that memory that file is gone permanently. It also means that anything you write there is really wicked fast. So like the reason that you would want to write to dev shm in your scripts, and we'll get to this later, instead of /temp, might be because you want to do some pretty intense file IO and analysis, and you want to rip stuff up really fast, and then have it, and then it'd be a lot faster because it doesn't have to go all the way to the disk. But these days, disk is also memory, SSD or whatever. So it's irrelevant usually. And especially somebody found out that if you have, what is that? Who found that out? If you have under 100, is it 100K? Under a certain threshold, if your file is within a certain size, it's that your file is not a file. It's actually stored inside of the inode table. Somebody found that out. Was that you, Patrick Close? Who found that out? It was pretty fascinating. I think it's 140 characters, 160 characters, or something like that. They found that's something relatively new. Somebody was looking as a newbie, actually, and you're not newbie. And they discovered that under a certain number of characters, any file actually gets stored. The content of the file is stored in the inode table itself, and there's never an actual file created, which was really amazing. I didn't know that. If you keep your files to this particular size, it's if you still have to open the inode table, but your table is probably already open because of the directory. Anyway, so I know we're kind of going into the weeds there. We've covered inodes another day, but so dev shm. So dev shm, this gets you see, it goes away, right? Temp does not. That's the answer. The answer is that one of them goes away and the other one doesn't. Now, when you reboot, temp will get emptied, but it gets emptied through a different method. It gets deleted. So that was a bunch of kind of long-winded way to say that we want to put something into /temp. Now, temp is traditionally the place to do this kind of stuff. So let's redirect that and let's do this thing. So let's say I want to see all the files in my home directory that changed within the last, I'm going to let you do it. Okay, so I'm going to say all the files in my directory that have changed within the last 5 minutes. I'm going to write those to a file. What's the command? See if you remember. Again, I'm trying to, do the repetition thing. What command do we need to do to say, exe to learn how it works in detail? Yeah. There was some other people. I can't remember who it was. Yeah. Okay, good. Snuggle up this. Good. So we're going to do -min modified within the last, you need -5 slightly. Yeah, you need the minus in there. Okay, the 5 means within the last 5 minutes. If you just put a +5 or a 5, I'm pretty sure that will just give you everything that's 5 minutes or older. Let's try. So let's just try it. This would be interesting. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of stuff there. All right, so let's do find -5 and see what that is. Now, why? Oh, it's all that Docker stuff. Ugh. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually jump ahead here. How do I silence errors? Let's do that one first, shall we? Somebody wrote a script to convert these. I just haven't put it on yet. Yeah. Okay, so how do you silence errors? So you don't know what anything of this means yet. We're going to talk about that. You can do it with a pipe, but we're going to this is called a redirect or an indirect. And we're going to do dev null. And we talked about dev null last time. It's called the bit bucket. And there's all kinds of memes and jokes and t-shirts and cartoons and XKCDs about dev null. Your opinion, dev null gets redirected to dev null. That's a t-shirt, because so culturally it's, you want to know what dev null is, right? Yeah, you can redirect that idea to dev null, and they usually refer to it as the bit bucket. Dev null as a service. Exactly. There are so many jokes about dev null. So culturally, as a techie and a hacker, you want to know about dev null, because if you write anything to dev null, it just disappears into the ether. It doesn't go anywhere. And we're going to send all of this standard error. That's what number 2 is. We're going to talk about file descriptors in a bit, but that's what 2 is. 2 says send all of the stuff that would be written to standard error out to dev null. You make your dev null persistent so you can capture secrets. What a great idea. Pipe religion to dev null. Okay, I can't comment on that. All right, so hey, look, there's my IRC WeChat logs are being written to there. And okay, but what if I don't want it to go there? And by the way, also, well, actually, I'm having a really hard time not doing. There we go. Okay, so it went through my entire home directory, and those are all the files, and it's slower, right? You can never recover data from dev null. No, it never touches anything persistent, unless you swap out dev null to be an actual file, like Tony Foss said. Who uses WeChat? I use WeChat. It's way better than than IRSSI. It is. It's like 1,000 times better. We're gonna fight about that? Fight me. All right. So okay. So all right. So we got rid of the errors by using 2, right? But what about the other stuff? Right? What about the other stuff? I know. I keep doing. I need to make a little macro for that. I know. Okay. So, but what if we want to actually redirect that stuff so it doesn't just go on the screen and get lost? Well, we use the redirect command, the operator, and we're going to say temp, and if you're me, you always call it temp foo. I use temp foo all the time because I don't want to have a ton of files in there, so I'll usually will reuse the same file. I mean, if you want to get fancy, you could say, no, it's too much to type. So I'm just going to do temp foo. And now what's that? But where'd my stuff go? Well, it did what we told it, right? It wrote all those lines instead of writing them to your screen, which is, it actually is a thing. Remember we talked about the dev directory? Yeah. Look at this. Look at this. There's actually a device for stud out. You want to see something funny? Watch this. I'm going to redirect to dev stud out. What do you think is going to happen? Same thing as if I printed it, because that's exactly what the commands do. I remember I told you there was like pseudo file systems. All right. So inside of dev, we have standard error, standard in, and standard out. Name it bar. Yeah. So see here, I redirected it, but I redirected it to a special device file. And if you look at this file, you see how it's got that crazy thing there? Yes, let's do that. So ls-al dev stud out, and you'll see that it's actually not a file at all. It's a special device. Look at that. The permissions are wide open. It's running as reader. Like, what the heck? And so what this actually is a device, and you see it's actually pointing to the other proc device. Let's look at that. This is just a symlink, and we're going to get to that. Let's list the other one. Okay, so al/proc self fd file descriptor 1, and the number is 1, and the number for standard error is 2. So yeah. Oh, hey, look at that. We see that itself is also a symbolic link, which we're going to get to. We're going to get to the links. Those are symbolic links. Let's do that one. So let's do ls-al dev pts/9 for some reason. Let's see what that's about. This stands for a pseudo terminal, I think. I don't remember the name exactly. I have to go look it up. Ooh, and that's what we're looking for. That's what I wanted right here. You see how this has a C? That means it's a character special device. And that means it's like a terminal. And as you can see, it's in the TTY group. Remember we talked about teletypes a long time ago? Well, there you go. This is literally emulating a teletype machine. And so every character that we send to the screen, instead of sending it to the screen, when we send it to the screen, we're sending it to this thing. The thing is cool about this, and this is how, I don't know if Anya's still here. If you want to hack people on Bandit, I'm going to give you a secret. While somebody's doing Bandit, if you want to hack them, I'm going to give you a secret. All you have to do is find out what their PTS is with W. Whoops. Is it you or users or W? No, I have to do it a different way. All right. So all you have to do is figure out what their PTS is and then just send characters to it. And it will go on their screen. And you can do all kinds of things. You can change their colors. I did W. Yeah, I don't know. I must have hit W alias. That's why I'm going back to this. Anyway, you can, what I'm trying to say is anything that gets sent to this terminal goes to their screen. So if you have permissions to send stuff to the terminal, and you probably do because you're probably in the TTY group, maybe not. It just depends. It depends on, I mean, you're not always going to have access. But so for example, if you have root, you can send stuff to it and you can make it go to their screen. I've seen people, garble their thing, and nobody protects against it on Hack the Box. I mean on Over the Wire. So you can actually go there and have people like do stuff. Oh, that's right. Let me do that. I don't know why. I must have. Oh, I know why. I absolutely know why. Yeah, I took over W. Yeah, I have another thing. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's a thing. I don't want to talk about it right now. I took over W. It's another reason not to use W, right? How about user bin W? Should we do that? There we go. So there's all your users, and here's your PTS. I never use the W command, so I took it over. That's what they're talking about. You can use Huku. See the PTS here? See this? So you get on Hack the Box, Over the Wire, and it's a multi-user system, right? It's a multi-user system. So you go look up what their PTS is, and then I'm bad at someone sending a message. Somebody did that to me. Yeah. Yeah. It was really fun, actually. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, because there's a million ways that you can, now that you understand how the system works and how these devices are just redirecting, everything's just a file. Remember, we covered that a couple of weeks ago. So now you know what's up, right? And you can do that very thing. So, but the main topic at hand here was not so much how to troll people on Bandit, but how to redirect, and this just came out because, as you can see, I redirected to a file, but that file still went to the screen. And in fact, if I do, what was the last one? This one? Okay, dev pts 9, right? So let's do that again. Let's do this. Let's, instead of stud out, let's try that. If we do dev pts 9, that's been my assigned sudo terminal. This should still go out to the screen, right? It still went out to the screen. Now, something I find interesting here. So yep, it's just, go ahead and put us up. But the whole point of this is that we wanted to write it to our temp foo file. So then we can go to temp foo and we have our stuff here. Now, you don't know VI yet, but you do know cat. So you can do cat and then look at the stuff if you want to do that. All right. And a lot of times you're not going to have VI or nano. So learning how to use cat to look at the content of the file is a good thing to do. Another way to do that, does tmux assign windows to multiple dev PTS? Yes, actually. Yeah, if you want to see them, here they are. So this is tmux. We're kind of getting ahead of things, but we're going to cover tmux later. So tmux gives you a different PTS for each individual window. And there is a way to look them up, but I don't normally use it. So, I mean, that's what's up with that. Okay. And that's how it accomplishes it. That's why I think it's the only window manager anybody should ever use, because it works on everything. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. All right, so we learned how to silence the errors. We learned how to output this stuff to a file. Talk more about head and tail. Yes, we talked about head and tail already, but now we can't talk about head and tail until we talk about piping, and we haven't talked about piping yet. All right, so let's actually jump right in and talk about that. So the question here is, isosec. Let's do, how do I limit, how do I only show top 5 lines? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So in order to do this, we have to learn another idea with regard to the Unix philosophy. And this is really going to open a can of worms. That's wonderful. It's a wonderful can of worms to talk about. This is how we're going to now start using pipelines. And we're going to use something called a Unix filter, which is the original name that has become known as many other things, pipelines, pipes, and stuff. And what do I even mean? We've been using this thing all along when we use a pager. So like if I wanted to say, if I wanted to run a command, let's run the same command on something that's going to give me lots of output. So let's say everything that's been edited within, I mean, this is going to take forever. Let's do another one. Let's do all the files that begin with dot. Let's do all the hidden files, right? And we put those quotes around it. Remember, you got to have those quotes or it won't work. And then we're not gonna write that to PTS. We don't want that to go off. I mean, if I do that like that, it's gonna go clear out the screen. I can't read it. Oh no, right? So I could send it to a file, temp foo, right? Okay, well now it's all in temp foo. Actually, cat temp foo. You don't know VI yet, so oh man, I can't see everything. I just want to see the top 5 lines, right? Well, what if I want to page through that? So let's do that. So let's do the top paging. We already know, and then we'll do the top 5 lines. So paging, you would do less temp foo. Less is what's known as a pager, and there's actually a really, really, really cool hack level on Bandit and Over the Wire that uses a vulnerability in less to gain a shell, and it's really cool. That's all I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to give it away to you, but it's really cool. In fact, the only way to I want you to discover it. I just want you to discover for yourself. It's so cool. But so this is a pager, and what a pager does is every time I push space, it pages down however much. And since I've got half of a tmux window, I mean, I've got 2 tmux windows inside of a larger, I'm sorry, 2 tmux panes inside of a single tmux window. It's showing only that stuff. And there's a lot of stuff there. And I can search, about pagers, right? We talked about this. You can put slash and say, I only want to see the stuff that have JSON in the name. And it will keep jumping to the next JSON one. I just keep pushing N and it jumps and jumps and jumps and jumps. By the way, those keystrokes are the same for VI, and pretty much anything that's going to do any kind of searching. So that's why I use those techniques, as well as the set-o mode for bash, which is why you should do that. We don't know that yet, but we'll get there. Okay, now what if I want to do those two things at the same time without putting it in a file? I could put it in a file, but what if I don't want to put it in a file? What if I want to say, I don't need to see it. I don't care if it's in a file. I just want to see it. So you type more or less. I'm going to use more, and it will run it. It'll send it to the pager, and it's exactly the same thing. The difference is it hasn't hit disk anywhere, at least not, that you know of. It may have done it, but that would just be cache. So now you have all of these files you can go through and do the same exact thing. The only difference is that we added a pipe operator. That's what this is. And the pipe, the term pipe refers to some other things, a first in, first out, FIFO, and we're going to get into a different type of file. I don't know if we should even cover it, but just know that when you're talking about Linux, there's generally, when people talk about pipes, they're talking about one of two things. They're talking about a special file type, which is a pipe, or they're talking about this, and this is the more common thing, and this is a pipeline, right? So this says, hey, I want to go and I want to connect the input of the one thing to the output of the other thing, and that's called a pipeline. So the simplest of pipelines is just a pager, and we're just doing it this way, right? And so, but this can get really interesting really quickly. So let's say, let's introduce a new command. We don't want to, more temp foo, right? Here's the whole big old file. Yeah. It's like, no, I really don't want the whole file. I just want the top 5 lines. So there's a command, and I'm kind of getting behind on my commands here. I mean, we need to, I'm just going to write it here. Head -5 foo. Show top 5 lines of foo file. All right, so then we just do head -5 foo, and we get, oops, there's no foo. We get that. Now there's another command called tail, and tail will give you the bottom 5 lines. Okay. And you're going to be using these all the time. All right. So, by the way, does everybody know the other command besides cat? This is fun. A lot of people don't know this command. It's kind of fun. There's a tac. Reverse lines of foo file. You guys know about tac? I don't think we ever covered it, but it's kind of cool. So if you do like head -5 temp foo, right, you get that. If you do, but anyway, so yeah, reverse cat, reverse cat, tac is reverse cat. So, and cat, what does cat do? Cat stands for concatenate, and it just shows you, I know I had to show people tac because there's a lot of veterans who don't know about it. And it's around. It's been on every system since the dawn of time, and I know people don't know. And so, I mean, there's reasons you would use it too, right? Because it makes the last line the first line, and then you can for loop over the lines, which makes tac very useful. So anyway, and we haven't got the bash scripting for that kind of thing, but I just want to say, so far so good, right? Head's got a ton of things, so I'm not going to show you them all. You can show exactly a certain number of files. You can show so many bytes. When we do a pipe, a child process is generated. Yes, it is. And yes, and we talked about processes at length. Palindrome checker, absolutely. You have verbose, you have quiet. There's lots of different things. Please take a look at these. You can do man, tail, and it'll show you. You'll be using tail a lot. But so far so good, right? So we've got our little trick. Now, knowing what you know now, I'm a little bit of a test here. How can you combine the knowledge you have now to show the top 5 lines, show the top 5 lines of the output of that ls command? So what would that be? So we already know it's pretty easy, right? So now that we know this, instead of doing more, we can replace more with head. Now I think head by default is 10. Yeah, I think it is, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. And actually we can do that, and we can do, what is it? What is it? Line count? No, that's not it. What is it? I can't remember it now. It's line number. I think it's not line. It's not ln. It's not wc either. Is it wc-l? No, there's another. That counts how many lines. We don't. Okay, let's go ahead and put that in the list too. There's like so many. Where would we even put that one? Right? No, I'm looking for another one that'll actually put the line numbers in front. I think it's lnum, but I can't remember. I don't use it very much. So wc dash l print count of lines. Okay, NL. Yes, I'm dyslexic. Yes, it's NL. Yeah. So enter. There you go. There's your line numbers. Okay. So I mean, and these again, everybody, don't feel bad if you don't know all these commands. The only way to learn these commands, I literally read the Unix book. It's just the blue one, the first O'Reilly. I just literally read every single man page in there. But you're going to just keep adding to your collection of commands over time. Please put these in like a black book or a Zettelkasten or some way where you can go get them all the time, and you can just pull them up, because and eventually you'll memorize them, and then you'll know enough to be able to use man pages. Like I just forgot NL because I almost never use it. So add line number prefixes, add line numbers. Okay. To output. Okay. So there you go. And that shows us we have 10 by default. If I want to make it 5, I do bash 5. But this is the reason I want to show you this is, mnemonics. Yeah. Is you see how we have 2 pipes now? We have a pipe here and we have a pipe here. Now, if we were to freeze this in time, if we were to freeze this process that's running, we would see that our shell is the parent process, and that the process under that is, there would be this process and this process and this process, and this one would be going to the other one, and it'd be going to the other one. Now that's super important, because when we get to shell scripting, we're going to start talking about variables, and we've already done environment variables, and we're going to see how some simple, easy to make mistakes with the use of pipes. For example, catting a file into a for loop, which is one of the most heinous and prevalent errors you'll ever see. It's all over the place. It's all over Stack Exchange and everything. Catting a file into a pipe, specifically if that pipe has any kind of scripting or anything after it, is usually a horrible idea. And why is that? Okay, so let me tell you what not to do, and then we're going to use the last operator. There's actually several other operators, but we got to cover the last of the main operators. And the last of the main operators is the redirection operators. We're not going to do. Until we script, I don't think we should do the other ones. The other ones are kind of a thing. So we did the top 5 lines. We're going to do linking to files in the next thing. Okay, so let me put it a different way. How do we link to? How should we put this? I'm trying to think. Okay, so you already know about cat, right? How to avoid using cat for a file. Actually, just how to avoid using cat and how not to use cat. I have to say this because I see this all the time in veteran code that is just so bad, and they don't know why it's bad. And when we do bash scripting, I'm going to show you why it's bad, but just trust me for now, and just don't ever do it. There's nothing that says I'm a noob more than using cat on a file when you don't need to. And it's because they don't understand indirection. All right. Now, it is true that it makes for a better pipeline. And in those particular cases, I'm kind of okay with it when people do that. But you should never, ever see cat in a script. So we already talked about cat temp foo, right? And about how that produces this thing, right? Well, what if I wanted to do something else with that file? All right. Use of cat awards. Yes. So you could do head -5 temp foo, right? So that would give you 5. Now we're going to do something else that's kind of special. Because head is a filter program. Okay. So we have to talk about what a filter is and, what is a Unix, filter. And this should have like 20 minutes, but we're going to use at least 5. So I've done entire videos on this because this is the single most misunderstood concept of all of Unixdom. Yeah. So a Unix filter is an executable program, whether it's a script or an executable, that takes as its input standard input and processes that input and does something to what goes out. That is a filter. And we've already seen a couple filters today. Can you name some? What are some filters that we've already used today? And by the way, that output that goes out doesn't have to be, like a functional filter, like I'm only going to print these lines. Head was one. It said I'm only going to show the top 5 lines and it filtered the rest out. WC is a filter. Tail is another filter program. Okay, and one of the key aspects of a filter program, of a Unix filter, and I'm going to use the proper term, that is the term that was invented. It is also a core part of the Unix philosophy. And we are not going to break down the Unix philosophy right now. I'm going to wait until we do the VI stuff to talk about that, for commenting multiple lines. How about LN? LN was a filter, right? LN was a filter, right? So we could do this. We said head 5 and we sent it to NL, and it transformed each line into something else. And then we can transform it further. You don't know grep yet, but let's grep out anything that has cube in it. And so you can see, it says, as you can see, by chaining together these Unix filter commands, we're able to do it. Cat is technically a filter. Yeah, it kind of is, but it's kind of unnecessary. That's where we're going to go. T is definitely one. We don't know about T. We need to add that. Don't let me forget about T. T is a tricky one though. So let's get past this piping stuff first. All of this stuff is based on the notion that in Unix, there's kind of a cardinal law, and the law says thou shalt, let's use the Unix philosophy. Let's go look it up. What is the Unix philosophy? And I've done lots of stuff on this because it's one of my biggest pet peeves. There are so many, including Richard Stallman himself, who doesn't understand Unix philosophy. So the Unix philosophy originated with Ken Thompson, and you can watch videos on this everywhere. And I'm going to actually Unix filter / the Unix philosophy. And it's really important. Does anybody want to try it? A lot of people get veteran Unix people get it wrong all the time. They'll tell you that the Unix philosophy is do one thing well, and that is not it. That's a part of it, but that's not all. And so let's go to the Ken Thompson, one of the original founders of Unix, and we're going to read about it. Unix philosophy originated with Ken Thompson is a set of cultural norms and philosophical approaches to minimalism, modular software development. It is based on the experience of leading developers of the Unix operating system. Early Unix developers, it was important in bringing the concept of modularity. We're going to go ahead and read the rest of this one. And so we're talking about minimalism. Yes, that's a good way to put it. King's got it. So the Unix philosophy emphasizes simple, short, clear, modular, and extensible code that can easily be maintained and repurposed by developers other than its creators. The Unix philosophy favors composability as opposed to monolithic design. Now, there's a different take. We're going to get a philosophical conversation another day, particularly during a break. My Bonsai tool is a monolith creator, but there is a modern take on the Unix philosophy, which is that we use monoliths that have themselves composability within them. And the Bonsai framework that we're going to learn during our Go development that I've made is based on that. So it's an extension of the Unix philosophy. We see this with Git. We see this with so many other commands that are using a monolith, but they still have the composability of multiple things and busy boxes like that. So what is the Unix philosophy? The Unix philosophy is keep things modular, and I actually like we'll read. There's a couple of different takes on it. My favorite is the Doug McIlroy. And if you look in the Manpoint pages, you'll see the author, and the author of most stuff that's been here, the pipeline design pattern. Yes, it is a design pattern. It's something that has been renamed, but I attribute it to Doug McIlroy, who is, and to this game. Make each program do one thing well. To do a new job, build a new program rather than an old program and adding new stuff to it. Now, people are going to see my bonsai thing and they think, aren't you just pretty much throwing the entire Unix philosophy away? And in some sense I am, because I'm making a monolith. But the difference is that we're creating monoliths that follow the Unix philosophy themselves. And I want to get into that later so I can justify that. But that's a big critique of the bonsai program that I have. And I believe it's based on many differences from the Unix time. You got to understand, when the Unix came out, they invented C for Unix, but there was very, very small amount of memory for everything. So building a pipeline and multiple processes was a nice, easy way to keep everything very modular and composable. So, it says, expect the output of every program to become the input of another program. That is the definition of a filter. As yet unknown program. Don't clutter output with extraneous information. We're going to come to that again, but I'm going to give you a hint. Why do you think there's a standard error and there's a standard out? Why are there two ways to send something to the screen? You remember that find command that we did? Remember we threw away the stuff. What did we throw away? Did we throw away the results, or did we throw away just all the errors for permissions? So the reason that there are two output methods that both go to the same PTS, the same terminal, the reason that we do that is so that you can put, and by the way, the developers of several modern tools do not do this. There is a ton of Rust tools that have been created that do not separate standard errors from actual significant output. It's a real big plague in our world right now. And it's a pain. It's a pain because that means your logs are getting filled with stuff that's irrelevant. And people cannot separate out the error output from the actual output, the content. And it's very problematic. So make sure you distinguish those two. I didn't want to talk about that right there, but it's kind of important. Don't clutter the output with extraneous information. Right? Don't put a big wrapper around it. This is why people, when they output stuff, are usually using lines. They're using, column delimited or tab delimited. We'll get into structured data probably in 2 weeks. We're going to start talking about structured data in addition to JSON. Learn C. Avoid stringent columnar and binary input formats. Don't insist on interactive input. This is super important. If you have interactive output, it doesn't. Let me ask you. If any of these programs were interactive, could I put them in a pipeline? No, because it would stop the whole process, right? In fact, one of the biggest complaints I have is that people that make tools today will not create an interactive mode for the tool. They should, by default, have non-interactive methods and force people to use -i or whatever to make it interactive. Because by doing it interactive, you can block an entire script because now it can't be a part of a pipeline. We're going to get interrupted here we have ad starts in 18 minutes. So design and build software, even operating system. We're going to go another 18 minutes, even though we got a thing. Let's see, design and build software, even operating systems to be tried early, ideally within weeks. Don't hesitate to throw away clumsy parts and rebuild them. So Agile, they were doing Agile way before there was a name for it in 1978. Use tools and preferences the Bell Labs people were geniuses. They were some of the most intelligent, thoroughly thinking people who've ever existed. And it's one of the reasons that I'm a big fan of Go, because Rob Pike was right there with these people. He was young. He was really young, but use tools in preference to unskilled help to lighten a program's task, even if you have to do work. But then there is another one. Here we go. Here's the quintessential Unix philosophy. Okay. Write programs that do one thing and do it well. Write programs that work together. This is super important. And the method of working together is primarily the filter pipeline design pattern that we're talking about. Write programs to handle text streams because that is the universal interface. And I cannot overstate this. your programs should get used to outputting and reading text. And these days, you have to do an extra step because you have to make sure that if they're a part of a pipeline, that they're not putting terminal escapes in color. But people want to use color when they're doing it straight to the terminal. And there's a technique for doing that we'll talk about when we do our Go programming. But it's a pretty standard pattern these days. But back then, it was never an issue. Make it easy to write test the programs, blah, 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 blah. And that's pretty much it. So we've got our pipeline, right? So there's our pipeline. Now, there is another way to do this though. And because head is a Unix filter, it can actually be invoked using another method. Now, this is not going to make real sense right now, but rather than doing temp foo, which takes an argument that says, hey, this is the file, I could also do this. I could do here temp foo. All right. Okay. Now I want you to see that this is exactly the same as this, except for some very subtle differences that relate to coding. So this says, hey, let's start a pipe. So we're going to send every line of temp foo straight to the head program, which has no arguments. And because it knows that it's reading from input, standard input, it just uses that instead. But instead of doing that, we could have just done this. And so this is the last operator that you haven't learned. I mean, the last major operator. There's a number of other indirection operators that we'll get into that involve clobber and some other stuff. I just don't want to clutter your mind right now with those. They're worth learning though. So when you learn about redirection operators, please make sure you learn them. But the basic ones are, redirect output. Now there's one more major one we need to do. What if I want to do, if I want to get some more data? All right. So let's say I ls this directory and I want to write that to temp foo. What's this going to do, by the way? I don't care because no clobber's off, but what is it going to do? What's in temp foo now? See what it did? It blew away the other data because I have clobber on, and we talked about that last week. I don't want to get into that, waste time. All right, but what if I want to do that again? What if I want to go to a different directory? What if I go back here and I want to go into, I don't know, Pagan, and I want to do this one. So ls-l ls, I want to put that in the file too. So here is the append operator. So I'm going to do that here. ISO sec how to add append lines to a file. So what does append mean? It means right to the end of a file that already exists, right? So if I'm going to ls in here, I get a different set of things, and I want to have those be on the end of temp foo. So I do this. You see that? And that's two of the greater than signs, or the right angle brackets, whatever you want to call them. And yep, there you go. So now when we go into temp, let's see how many lines we got. WC temp foo. We see we got 21 lines. Let's do temp foo with a line numbers, and you can see that it got more stuff. Oops. You can see that it's got some more stuff on here, right? So we got 1, 2, 3. We got all the stuff from the other directory and the other stuff. So we've combined the two together, right? Now let's see. I want to take all of those things and I want to put those, get like the first 5. I can do head 5 temp foo or 4 or whatever, and then we could also do here, and that would give it to temp foo as well. Okay, so that's the main file redirection that we're going to use today. Okay. Now, before we leave this, we have 4 minutes, and the last of these. Okay. So let's just do a quick review. So what are the commands that we learned today? We learned what are all the redirection stuff? We learned this, right? Oops. Learn C++. Okay. So we learned this. So this is the, write to file, and I should probably put overwrite to file. We have this one. Come Come on, Rob. So this is append, right? Append to file. We have, we should probably put the pipe first. What do you think? Why am I keep hitting it wrong? Okay. So, we're going to have, read, send file to standard in, to stud in. And, we'll do the pipe here. Let's see, connect stud out to stud in. All right. So those are the main ones. Now there's a number of other ones. I'm not going to mention them. I want to so badly, but I'm not going to. Those are the main ones. Let's stick with those. Oh, and thanks for the clip. Yeah. Okay, so, yep. So here we go. Those are redirects. Those are the main things that you're going to use. And by using those, you'll be able to compare all of the other stuff together, and you'll be able to see, all of that interesting stuff. And that's pretty much it for commands. We've got 2 minutes left. There is one other kind of fun command called T. And what T does is it kind of splits the standard out into a file. It writes to a file, and so it both writes to a file, to file foo, and to stud out. And this is kind of fun if you want to monitor something, but you also want to see what is up. All right, so let's try that. So like if let's do our what we did before. So we do, let's just do find dot. That's going to give us all our files, right? So let's do find dot. Let's go back to someplace. This is kind of messy. All right, here we go. So find dot. There's going to be lots of stuff in here, right? So let's do find dot type. We only want directories. How about that? Only the directories. Okay. So thanks, graphics. So we're going to do find type D, and we see all the directories that are here. But then what are we going to do? Now we're going to say, I want to see what those are, but I also want to write them to a file. If I write them to a file, I do temp foo. We know how to do that already, and it's there, but I kind of want to see it while it's doing it, because it's going to take a long time because it's find, right? Maybe you want to look for the set UID stuff. So instead of doing a redirect, we replace the redirect with a pipe, and we put the command T, and the T will automatically send it to standard output, and we get a file, right? And to prove it to you, I'm going to get rid of the file. So let's do that. Let's do it again. And so it went through that whole thing, and now I can do, do you know VI yet? So there's the file, right? But even more than that, we can actually send the whole thing to a pager on top of all of that. So because T splits, it takes standard input and says, okay, I'm going to write a duplicate copy of the standard input to the file, and then I'm going to send it on down the pipeline. You can actually do that and then send it to your favorite pager. My more is actually less, but you see that? So now you can watch the status while it's doing its thing. And you also get a log file of all of it at the same time that you can go back to, and then you can filter that file to your heart's content, and have a lot of fun with that. All right. We're going to keep going. Our promo's over, but according to the ad manager, we have 8 minutes and 4 seconds before the next mandatory 3-minute ad. And then we'll see how we go. And then we get another hour after that. Okay. So, let's do that. Main difference between more and less. That is a good question. Let's talk about that. So, yeah, we talked about the pipe command. How to use T command. I kind of skipped that really fast, but first time, super interesting. Hey, Theta Sig, how are you? Welcome, everybody, all your new people. All right, so what is the difference between more and less? The short answer is more is older. And in most systems, there is no more anymore. I have been, using Unix since, I want to say 94. And so there was no less back then. And so my fingers have got more memorized in them. And that's the main reason, right? I actually have mine as a script right now, which is, it uses less -r, so it does a recursive thing and stuff. So yeah, less does keep things clean. They are the same. A lot of people will alias them to each other. In fact, I think on the system they'll have kind of both of them together. So that's what's up with that. Less has got a lot more options, including color. So that's the thing. So we actually learned about IPs with color the other day too. IP, what is it? -C? Can't remember. What was the color one? I can't remember. Is it color? Yeah, there it is. So, and by the way, we're going to talk about color later, and how it can mess up all of this. And I'm actually going to show you that really quickly with a little bit of our time that we have left, because I want you to know we have 5 minutes left of this session, and we're going to have another one. We're just going to have a break. So, but I want you to see what happens if you take color output and you write that to a file. What do you imagine you'll find? Okay, now you don't know VI yet, but I'm going to show you. This is one of the main reasons to use VI. Do you see this file? What's wrong? Is that any kind of file that you could ever use in a pipeline? Watch what happens if I try to do anything with it. You see all these characters in here? And this is why you're using VI for this. Yeah, we got 4 minutes till the next ad. And so instead of, there's lots of things. So these are the color escape sequences that we haven't really gotten into yet that are really fun. When we do scripting, we're gonna go into the escape sequences. I'm going to teach you how to do animated terminal color animation. Things like Neo, stuff like this. You can actually make your own by understanding how the terminal works, or the ASCII fish or any of that. But the problem with this is, and that this particular application does not successfully do, is that it does not detect an interactive terminal. And this is a thing. Lolcat's another one. Yeah, it's a big phone. Lolcat. You can pipe to Lolcat. I should probably put that in here. Yeah, you guys remember how to install software? You probably want to install Lolcat right away. It's just fun. It's a pain in the butt, but it's Lolcat, colorize things. This is how I'm doing the banners and stuff. So you could do like echo hello pipe to lolcat and you get hello, right? And then you just keep doing it, right? Yeah. Cowsay is another one. Yeah. I mean, do we want to put these here? We probably want to do. Cowsay is fun. I mean, there's a bunch of games that we can go through. Yeah. Fun game. Fun quotes. And actually, you probably want to combine that with quotes. Fun way to show output. We only have 3 minutes, and I'm just killing time until that happens. So let's show you some fun stuff. Yeah, Moo is fun too. I don't like Toyota as much. Figlet, you got Figlet. Yes, that's actually how I do my banner. The break is coming. So this is Figlet combined with Cowsay. But now you know what? This is kind of an object lesson, because look if you look at the code for banner, look what's in here. So username bash, there's those escape commands we were talking about. This is not the main topic today. It's kind of a fun topic for another 2 minutes. And then you have a bunch of stuff you have to do. Like you have to clean up your terminal and all this. We'll get into shell scripting. This is some bad stuff. I should put double quotes there. And this is how you read input and you execute. But see, there's your figgle. And there's something else here you've never seen before too. So remember I said there's some other operators? We'll learn the other operators when we do the scripting. Right now, I want you to focus. I'm encouraging you. I mean, you're your own boss, but I'm encouraging you to focus on the basics, like overwrite a file, append to a file, pipe standard out to standard in, and send a file to standard in. And focus on that this week. Like practice using that. Try to make combinations of things. I mean, you've got so many commands now that you could actually make what I asked you, to do. You could, and once you get in, there's some other commands like sort, and I kind of feel like we should just list them all off. There's so many commands that are kind of just going to be, I have to just tell you they exist. So we will do that. We're going to do grep, and then we'll do that for the next time. I'm going to go ahead and force the break right now. And so we're going to be gone for about 3 minutes, 3 to 5, 6 minutes, and I'll still be here. There's a bunch of books. The best book that's free right now is Learning the Linux Command Line from William Schatz. Yeah, and that's Learning the Linux Command Line. The Riley book is way too out of date. You don't want it. I want it mostly because it's vintage, right? But there are a number of books out there. The truth is, you probably don't need a book. There are a number of sites that catalog all of the existing Linux commands, so you can kind of go through them. And I think that will be the way to go. The most important thing, however, is for you, as I said before, to maintain your little black book. And believe me, people have published their little black books before. All right, so I'm going to send some ads your way, unfortunately, because I have to. And I'm going to take a break and get up and walk around a little bit. Take a little bit of a break. We'll be back. When we come back, we're going to be doing grep and regex and globs and all of that jazz. All right. Okay. Ad in progress. Let's see. We have, how many minutes are we going to get? Yep. Had to send the ads. I'm sorry. Where can I see the video for week 1 for your boost? Hey, how's it going? You could just go to Boost and click on the link. Or you could go to YouTube, Artifacts Rob, and it's on the very top. Yep. It's very kind of loosey and interactive. It's not everybody's style. A lot of people will watch the YouTubes and they'll fast forward it because I'm slow. And we're slower than ever this year because that's been the request, is that I slow down and we do stuff together. I've been kind of fast and telling people what to do, but not doing it with them in the past 2 years. So that's the thing. There's still some value in last year's boost when it comes to Docker. We spent a lot more time on Docker than we're ever going to spend this year. But yeah, it's good stuff. I wonder if I can run another one after this and buy me some more time. 40 minutes. Yes. Happy smiley faces. All right, I'll talk to you in a bit. I'm going to walk away. I'll put some music on for you. This is my wife's drink. All right. We'll let Cyndi Lauper finish, and then we'll start up. I have to turn that way down, though. It'll get me muted on YouTube. All right, let's do this. Let's do it. I'm burping. I don't want to burp in here. That would not be very nice. I did. I stole my wife's beverage because I was thirsty. And it looks so good. I was like, okay, that's cold. I know. I'm a bad person. Oh my God, this song is so good. All right, we got another couple hours here. So we have exactly 52 minutes until the next ad starts. If you came here because of pre-roll ad, I apologize. That's nothing I can control anymore. They've changed the way they do ads. So what were we doing? We are going to talk about something new because obviously that whole filter thing, right? Well, it became pretty common to want to perform a particular type of filter. And so let's talk about what that means. And we're gonna do something called grep. And this is hands down the most popular command. In fact, there's an entire video about grep from Ken Thompson who talks about the creation of grep. And I don't want to get into that just yet. But I feel like it goes with what we've been doing for filtering. So let's talk about filtering, and then we'll get around to globs. And we may have to save regular expressions for next time, but we'll see. We'll see how much we can cover. I would really like to cover all of that today. But this is a lot. This is a lot to take in, right? Global regular expression print, yes. And that's one of the reasons that we're going to talk about it. So how do I filter keywords? Let's see, lines with keyword from file. And I'm deliberately putting this in terms of like you can go through and read it and use it to test yourself. So this week, you can go through the show notes. You can read it, and you can jump to that point in the video. You could also do find and prune. Yes. We're going to stick with grep for right now. Okay. And so, yeah, prune, by the way, is a little bit different because we haven't talked about prune, but yeah, prune is there is a prune in find that we didn't talk about at all, which can keep you to the top, second level of depth. You can do amazing with find. As I said, this is a boost. I think we've boosted you enough on find to know that there's seriously, it would take you a month to master all the different things you can do in find. But I do want to talk about grep, and then we'll come back to using find in combination with grep to do a very common use case, which is look for a keyword in all of the files in the current directory and in any of the subdirectories. And on any Unix system, by the way, and systems that don't have, thanks to the follow, that don't have like globs, and we haven't talked about globs yet. We're going to go back and forth. And a single data, I forget that I'm telling you, I know, me too. I forget them all the time. So we're going to do a pomo start here, which is a little bit off, but let's do 48 minutes. That's how long we got for this next session. All right. So, let's talk about this. So what is the use case? We want to see PDF grep is nice. Ooh, that's great. Yeah, that's a great tool. So let's say we already talked about Etsy password, right? Let's ask the question, what I want to see the line of anybody who has the name I don't know, Rob in the etc password file. We already talked about that. So the command would be grep, and then we say Rob etc password. Okay, that's the most basic use of it. And as you can see the line right away. You know which one it is. You could change it to be root, right? And you could see that. And the cool thing about this is you can actually start to compare it with other things. So let's look at all the users that have, and I'm gonna give you this question. So we already talked about this. Sexy voice time. I don't know if I would call it that. So I have a question for you. So you already know what etc password is. So for those who are paying attention when we talked about etc password, what is a command that I could do that would show me everybody who has a login shell? My son could probably do it. I know. Everybody who wants to find a login shell. What's the command? Now that we know what grep is, how can I use grep to look at bash and go, show me all the users on this system who have a login shell? Drinking my hard cider. You don't know about -v yet, Ketone. That's not fair. That's like the perfect answer, but you don't know about that yet. Pretend you just know grep, and then we'll do the -v. I was going to do that next, but that is a good one. Yeah, that's the one I was literally going to do that one right after that. You do know about man. Yes. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. I'll find you got me on that. Okay, fine. All right, let me give you another one. How can I find all the users that use bash as their login shell? Yes, there you go. 09. That's what I would have said, right? How do we know to change the default man page to Vim? No smart Alex. All right, so grep bash etc password, right? My fingers are hard coded. So there's only one user. Okay. How about we look at everybody who doesn't have a login? We look for no login, right? Okay, and then there's the most common alteration of grep, which is the inverse. -v. V stands for, in my world, V stands for inverse. That's the mnemonic. The mnemonic, put it up in your head. The V stands for inverse. It means, okay, show me everything that doesn't have no login in it. All right. And now we see a bunch of stuff, right? Now, to be honest, that would not be good, would it? Because we got bin false. Can you log in if you have a bin false? No, you can't, right? So let's combine that. How can we combine that? Okay, you guys know this already. All right, you already know this. You remember that whole pipe stuff? How can you combine? This is where grep gets really crazy. Pipes, yes. How can you make? And by the way, I've seen pipelines with like 20 greps in them, which is totally lazy, but whatever. No, it's not. I wish it were. I wish -g was used for inverse on other stuff. It's not. But it has been bashed for artifact shrub. Yes, it does. All right. So let's say you wanted to keep going this other route, the -v thing. What would you do if you wanted to also eliminate? Now, you would think, you might get experimental and you might go, well, what if I did no login, comma, bin false? That doesn't really work, does it? Or does it? No, it doesn't. It doesn't work. But how can we do it? So you remember that whole filter idea? This is why Linux is so great. We can do grep -v false. Yeah, well, that's the best way. But let's do the other way. Let's just eliminate all the stuff that has no login and all the stuff that has false in it. Look at this. You see that? Yeah, you can do that too. That's a great one. That's a great one, Ping. We haven't learned that yet, but that's a great one. You've read the man page. This is fantastic. Y'all are reading the man page. Yes. Okay. So there's lots of ways to do this, and that's pretty much the way it always is in Linux and Unix. None of these particular ways that y'all are telling me are better than the other one, except for one fact. how many processes am I running right now? And I really want to point this out because there are a ton of Stack Exchange answers that are abysmal. You would not believe the code I have seen in production. It's crazy. It's so crazy. Why does this work, first of all? Someone tell me why. So this says, okay, first of all, give us all the stuff that does not have no login in it. All right. Yeah. And then we're going to say, also give us this one that does not have false in it. Well, we're actually calling two executable programs. And yeah, in today's world, that kind of overhead is not that big a deal. That's the biggest defense people will put up for this. Like, dude, it's 2020. Get over it. I'm like, yeah, but you really still didn't need to do that. You could have done another way, right? And this is your first introduction to regular expressions. And that's what the RE in grep stands for. So, and if you're going to have a hard time jumping into regular expressions right now, but if you do dash, I think is it dash I? Yeah. Then you can make sure you have to put it in quotes because all those other things have special meaning to the shell, and we should probably do globs next. So this says no login. Actually, dash E is regular expressions, yes? And then or false. And you're like, but that's the pipe operator. It's actually not. Let's do VE, no login or false. All right, and look at that. Ooh, we got bin sync. What even is bin sync? It's apparently a login shell. Small overheads causes a big one at the end. Absolutely. Grep bash shell etsy password without. That's another way to do it. Yes, you could do that too. So this is your first introduction to a regular expression. Regular expressions are their own language, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But I wanted you to see that there are ways to do grep, and if you do a man on grep, you will see there are many, many things. Grep is another one of these tools that it's like an art form for you to really get good with it. There are so many variations on grep, mostly for the different types of regular expressions that are out there, including Perl regular expressions, which are my favorite, and are embedded in every other system. But regular expressions are going to become a standard part of your daily routine. And if you don't learn them as an operator and a hacker, you just will never really take off. You really have to learn them. I find regular expressions to be the most practical when you are doing hacking and scripting and stuff like that. Regular expressions in production code that's compiled can almost always be avoided with something that's more highly performant. And I've had to come to, even though they're cool, I've had to come to accept that regular expressions really don't have a solid place in most production code because they are very, very heavy. So what is a regular expression? And let's go there. Let's go ahead and put that and bookmark this, and we'll go into the whole regular expression thing. Okay. So go ahead and put this out here, but I wanted you to see the grep thing before we got into the regular expressions. Okay. The regular expressions are going to take probably all 38 minutes of the rest of our time. But that's okay for this session. It's super important that you have an understanding of them, that you understand, the different types, and that you can use them successfully. They will pop up in everything you do. I used to write my title as a regular expression because I had so much variation in it. It's also a panacea. That's exactly right. So again, okay. So what are they? Let's talk about regular expressions, why you care about them, and when to use them and when not to use them. Okay. So let's do that. So you just use the regular expression right here. I think regular expressions were invented by Chomsky and the gang, who were writing parsers, language parsers and stuff like that. And it's a pseudo language that helps to describe the structure of a language. Let's do what you would do. Let's say, what is a regular expression? We'll go search the internet. I'm going to use my command line search tool. But a regular expression, shortened as regex or regxp, sometimes referred to as a rational expression, that I didn't know, is a sequence of characters that specify a search pattern in text. Yeah, and then we have, usually such patterns are used by string searching algorithms for find or find and replace operations on strings or for input validation. So, and this input validation is a really, really powerful use of it. It's also one of the reasons that I like the Perl language so much. I don't use Perl much lately because it's hard to find support for it on a team broadly, but -T, capital T on Perl, will activate something called taint checking. And what that means is that any data coming into the program that has not been validated by being checked against a regular expression will throw a fatal error so that the program won't even run. And I love it. It's actually the people who made Perl were geniuses. And the reason they did that was a lot of people watching this might not even know about -T. But it is a really great way to explicitly force developers to check all of their input and make sure if that input came from a web page form or if it came from something else, that they make it match against kind of a key. You can imagine a key saying this stuff that's coming in has to match this. Otherwise, we're not going to let it proceed. And by the way, in terms of security, let me just talk about this really quickly. This is a security principle. Why is it better to allow rather than deny? So this is a security concept that is not discussed very much, and I really want to talk about it. I want to hear what you have to say on this. Sanitize your input. Okay, but here's the thing about sanitizing input. That I hear that all the time. Why is a whitelist better than a blacklist? Why is it better to specify what is allowed instead of what's not allowed? Let me give you a scenario. Okay, let's say you're going to do passwords, right? Which, by the way, every one of those password validators is totally full of crap because they have no basis in fact regarding crypto theory, but we're not going to talk about that, cryptography. But because you cover all the exceptions, in theory, a blacklist should be shorter. It is easier to find the truth. Yeah, I like that one. So you can disallow everything else. So you can't miss something. Yes. That is my favorite answer so far. Precautionary principle. Yes. More control. Yes. What is a more likely error to make? Not eliminate something that should have been eliminated, or to be too strict on a thing, right? There's less wiggle room. And I have personally seen this problem. Okay, so let's say you have a password checker. Okay, better safe than sorry. Yes, and I want to make sure that you cover this because a lot of you are going to be writing code that's either going to take advantage of people who do this wrong, or are going to implement these security measures. And bottom line, it's always safer to say what is allowed and risk something being overly, whatever, exuberantly denied and dealing with that and then opening up, so you start with a very limited subset of things that are possible. And then, your errors are going to be, well, you're disallowing somebody with whatever, right? And so you expand it open a little bit more, and then you expand it open a little bit more, and you expand it open a little bit more. When you do it that way, you're not letting in everything else. Yes, you're possibly going to get errors, but the errors are going to be in favor of security. If you do it the other way, if you do it the other way and say, okay, I am not going to allow any slashes. Well, what about exclamation points? Oh yeah, that too. Oh, well, what about brackets? Oh God, I forgot about those. What about escape characters? What if they send like a ton of escape characters? What? Oh, how do I even show all the escape characters? Let's see. That's a range of ASCII characters between 1 and 75 and plus blah, blah, blah. And you end up making this monstrously huge, broken attempt to match everything that's not allowed. It seems rather obvious, but I really, really want to say this to everybody because I see this in code constantly. I see this in code constantly. Oh, you can't use anything. It's better to say you can't use anything that's not an alphanumeric, right? But yeah, blacklist is sure. It's easier to say okay. What can you use here? You can use alphanumerics. You can use a dash and a dot, whatever. Right, and you can expand it. So I just want to comment on that principle because this is common everywhere. And when you do stuff called rules based access control, RBAC, which is a Kubernetes thing, it's everywhere. You'll see that you can use Nginx has this, and you can see that you can either start with the allow or you can start with the deny, right? So you can either default allow or default deny, and it's almost always better, in my opinion, to default deny, and then to add the allows as you go in, and that's just a better security practice. It's a little bit, I mean, just don't forget about it. That's all I'm going to say. That I'm moving on now. Python allows everything in input, whereas in C you're not allowed to cross chain. Yes, for security, that's true. Well, yeah. Firewall configuration, yes, absolutely. Firewall configuration is all over the place. And so, I mean, we're not going to get deep into that, but this is enough of a boosted principle that we can, now that we're talking about regex, this is a good way to cover this. Okay. So let's get back to regular expressions and why do you care? We kind of interloped those two together, but interweaved them. But let's go back to it. So regular expressions, I'm a little bit hesitant to jump into this because when we jump into regular expressions, yeah, you got this. Did you find a link to one? Yeah, there's a lot of books out there. I think you might be able to find the free book on regular expressions. Actually, I do strongly recommend the O'Reilly Mastering Regular Expressions book. It has been, I'm going to put it down here and related. It has, the thing about regular expressions is they have not changed in years. Now, they did change recently. Anybody know what? What was the most recent change to regular expressions? It's actually really valid. I want to make sure our veterans know this. Some of our veterans might not know this and they might appreciate it. What is the most recent change to regular expressions? Does it have it missing lecture? Okay, nice. So missing a semester on YouTube. There's no way I can cover all about regular expressions with you today. We will do the basics, but it's going to be important that you do a lot of practice. I actually have created a tool for practicing this. It's probably ahead of your ability to test it yet. There's a thing called regular expression golf too that I want to send you to right now during the break. In fact, let's go ahead and jump you there right now. So regular expression golf is pretty fun. You can actually change the style. It's still my favorite. Is this, did you find it? Is that it? Is this it here? There's an XKCD of this, by the way. There's a joke about regex golf. So I think this is the link. Let me give you the link here. And because we're going to cover the basic rules of regex, but we're not going to be able to, we'd be here all day. It's a language. So, I mean, we could cover it. I don't know. What do you think? Regex golf. This is a really fun thing to do on a Friday night with a bunch of geeks. Like drink beer and play regex golf. Yeah. Rustcox RE2 implementation. Yes. Okay, so O'Reilly, this is probably my favorite book on the whole topic. I've read the whole thing, and it actually has the valid regular expression for an email address at the end, which feels like a page and a half. Yeah. O'Reilly Mastering. Regular expressions are one of these things that, distinguishes masters of the, it's kind of culturally, your knowledge of regex is like, there was a thing. Does anybody know about the geek code? Nobody knows this. It's passed into arcane history now. Does anybody remember the geek code? Do we want to resurrect it? Should we resurrect the geek code? Because one of the main things from the geek code was how good your knowledge of regex is. Anybody remember this? Yeah, you have to have that O'Reilly book around. Oh my gosh, yes. So this is a thing from the 90s that I wish would come back. So we used to do this. We used to put these, here's a geek code, right? We used to sign our emails with a geek code block, and you could immediately judge somebody based on their geek code block. I really miss it. I wish we would bring it back. It's like ancient. It's like from 96, 97. But I mean, because some of the stuff is like really, really dated. But one of the things, did you have several of them? But some of the stuff is actually based on regular expressions. So that's why I brought it up. So just for fun, I should probably put another thing. Should I put geek code? I mean, I'm going to put it in there. Somebody needs to bring it back. It's just too dated. I know it is kind of a curse cyber. That's what it is. Yeah. But this is back when we actually signed email and, used email. Nobody uses email anymore. So it's got TV plus, blah, 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 right? And it is kind of fun. So I do want to, there's lead speak, new speak. Okay, so the code started letter G for Greek, followed by letters of Greek occupation, a GMU for Greek musicians. Break to disable pre-roll. No, not yet. I guess pre-roll back on. Oh well. Anyway, the ego days blah blah blah. Expensive set options here. Decoding. There are several books of decoders. Similar pages available. God, I'm trying to find one. Both the examples are Hayden's own geek code book. PGP. All right. So, how good you are at PGP? Where are they? I can't remember. Your spectral classification is the start of blah, blah, blah. History format. Okay, so format. Geek codes are written in two formats, either as a simple string or as blah. Note that the latter is blah. Categories. So it contains a complete list of categories as long as it's okay, here we go. So geek code, there it is, geekcode.com. The geek code. God, this is like Wayback Machine. That's kind of scary. I have to go all the way to the Wayback Machine. You kidding me? PGP last stable is. I know it's. Oh gosh, this is crazy. We're in the web archive, people. All right, so come on. Who would I be if I didn't teach you esoteric 90s trivia? 90s esoteric 90s tech trivia. So, by the way, look who made it. Dylan Northrup. Does that look familiar? Does Dylan Northrup look familiar to you? Does that name look familiar? Yeah. So, it's like one of the authors of like everything. So, so here we go. The geek code block. In general, here's your thing. Appearance. Oh God. I know we're wasting too much time on this. You know what? It's because I blame the hard cider. We gotta have some fun. How would I be? Dress. It is said that clothes make the man. Well, I understood that. Mommy and daddy, blah, blah, blah. D++. I tend to wear conservative dress such as business ties. Bang D. No clothing. Quite fashion statement, don't you think? DPU. I wear the same clothes all the time, no matter what the occasion. Forgetting to do the laundry. That would be DPU. I wear black all the time. You met Paul Zimmerman. Oh my gosh. I'm super impressed. Shape. Geeks come in many shapes. I usually have to duck through doors. I take up 3 movie seats. S+++. I'm a basketball player. Age A++. Oh my heck. I am an A++. I am finally at A++. Holy cow. There's only like one level above me. There's only one level above me. We'll just spend a little time on this. If you can skip it if you don't like it. Computers. Okay, C++. I'll be the first in line to get the new cybernetic interface installed in my skull. You mean there is life outside of the internet? I haven't tracked myself into class in 2 weeks. Computers are a large part of my existence. Computers are a tool. If you even mention computers, I'll rip your head off. C minus minus. You are level 1 for being antique. I know. Thank God. Unix. Oh, here we go. Here's your Unix tag. It seems that a Unix-based operating system is the choice among most geeks. Yeah. In addition to telling you about the Unix abilities, you can also show us specific letters saying all of your stuff. For example, UL +++ would indicate a system man running Linux, BSD, Linux, Ultrix, AIX. I've worked on that, SunOS, SCO, and Next. I've done 1, 2, 3, 4. God, I got like 9 letters from that. I've got like 9 letters from the Unix list. And people think that Linux is the only thing that exists. I'm like, are you kidding me? Really? What would your geek code be? I don't even know what that is. Well, okay. So I am a Unix admin. I have VMS knowledge. I have a VMS account. I only have one Unix account. You have 8 of them? What? Rocking on. Rock on. Someone have to do FreeBSD. There's no DOS on. Are you kidding me? There's also no Plan 9. Sad face. So Perl. I'm learning pfSense. Ooh, yes, it is BSD. pfSense is BSD, yeah. So Perl, look at this, man. I am Larry Wall, Tom Christensen, or Randall Schwartz, who I went to karaoke with. Yeah, I knew Randall's Merlin around. Yeah, he lived in Portland when I was there. I don't write Perl. I speak of it. I mean, you gotta understand. This was made in the '90s. Perl was like the language. There was Perl and C, and Bash. That was it. There was nothing else. Linux. I am Linus Torvalds. Grovel before me. I'm a Linux wizard. I munch C code for breakfast and have enough room left over for kernel debugging. I have so many patches installed that I lost track about 10 versions ago. Linux newbies consider me a god. I use Linux exclusively on my own system. I monitor Comp OS Linux and even answer questions. Everybody's like, there's like people out there, what's Comp OS Linux? minus. With pride. Emacs. Emacs is my login shell. Oh my gosh. No, just no. World Wide Web. I'm a webmaster. You gotta understand, the web had just come out in like 94. So Usenet. I am Tim Pierce. See, Usenet's where you got all your news back then. These days, this would be like Reddit or a hackerspace or something. Usenet, Oracle, Kibo. I don't even know what that is. I had sex with Kibo. I met Kibo. I don't even know what that is. Microsoft Windows. There you go. I am Bill Gates. I hate Windows. Windows has set back the computer industry by 10 years. Bill Gates should be drawn, quartered, hung, shot, poisoned. Okay, we gotta keep moving on. I am getting distracted. Obviously, you should have that happen. My people that know with the work controls, I do. I am Bill Gates. It's pretty harsh. I know. You couldn't pull that. Politics and social science. Legalize drugs. Abolish government. Get rid of the draft. Politics and economics. Cypherpunks. Cypherpunks was the thing back then. Nobody knows what it is now. It's probably Cicada, but I don't know. PGP. Phil Zimmerman. Long signature of Usenet. Oh, is that the one? I did not know. Entertainment. Star Trek. Babylon 5. X-Files. Role-playing. I've written my own role-playing. I actually am an R++. I've written several of my own role-play games. So I'm definitely R++. Television. There's nothing I can experience out there I can't do with my satellite dish. I want more TV channels. I live for the OJ trial. Oh my gosh. Books. I read a book a day. Dilbert. I am Scott Adams. Doom. I work for id Software. The Geek Code. Lifestyle. Education. I am Stephen Hawking. Managed to get my PhD. Got a master's. Blah, blah, blah. Housing. Living in a cave with 47 computers and an internet feed. I want somebody to make a new one. Somebody needs to make a new one. Relationships, sex. No, there's no Star Wars. There's no Star Wars, only Star Trek for these guys. About redoing my geek code? Yeah, sex, having... How to display a geek code. Here's how you do it. I dare you to put a geek code in like your emails. To like your boss. I had real life sex once. I was once referred to as easy. I have no idea what that might have meant though. I have had real live sex. I've had sex. Oh, you mean with someone else? Then no. I'm a pervert. Okay, this is supposed to be suitable for families, so we're going to move on. Anyway, Robert D. Hayden actually copyrighted it. Dag nabbit. So I guess we can't use that. Back to significant things. I know, I'm super sorry. 09. I know. We kind of went off the rails there, but we brought ourselves back. I apologize. Did I say anything bad? I know I didn't say anything bad. We referred to some things that were not so nice there. Okay. All right. So geek code, but rated, a little rated M. How about that? It's a little bit rated M because we have children and stuff that want to learn stuff. All right. So let's move on. Our viewership went way down. I'm super sorry. Okay, here we go. We go back. How does regex golf work? All right, let's do it. Let's use regex golf to actually practice regex. All right. So if you want to follow along, you can go back to regex, and we'll do regex golf. And I need to put this in the notes. So give me 1 sec. And we'll do that. So let's see. How to play expression golf. And we're going to kind of learn some of them right now. You really are going to have to spend some time reading about it. This is not a thing that I can convey all of it to you. I can get you the major parts of it, and we will do that today. All right. So, all right. So here we go. It says warm up. Type a regular expression into the box. So let's start. The simplest regular expression is just a character or a letter, right? So we put A there. We see that it matches a ton of stuff. Let me see if I can zoom in. Can you see that a little bit better? Okay. So VBS lane though, it was. All right. So as you can see, if you type the letter A, you see that this matches and all of these match, right? And then you got some that seem like they match. Why is this one matching? Match all of these and none of these. So it wants us to match these, but not these. Okay, so that's where it gets tricky. So we got A. Okay, this one doesn't have any A's in it, does it? So what do these all have in them? They all have the word foot so far. Oh, how about FOO? So let's type the keyword FOO. Oh my gosh, I answered it and I won. 1.19 beta is out? Oh my heck. I'm going to be back doing that. Thanks, Ghost in the Shell, for letting us know. All right, so they had some cool stuff in 19. So here we go. Here we have foo's here, but there's no foo over here, right? Just speed improvements, nice. So anyway, so there we go, right? But I want to stick with this for a second just to show you some of the things. All right. So if I wanted to, I want you to notice something. If I want to match the O's, if I put O, it matches. You see how it matches, right? Well, actually, no, I put P's. Duh. You see how the O's matched? All the O's matched? This is what I'm going to tell you. Okay, so a regular expression matches those characters by default anywhere in the string. Anywhere in the string. Okay? Anywhere they occur, it counts. Now, I'm going to show you how to anchor something. Okay? So let's go back to our A. So as you can see, we have fan here. We have an A or cat there and an A foot there. If I want to lock down the match to the beginning, then I need to put a hyphen. And that says it must begin at the string that we're looking at. All right. And you'll notice that that has only matched a foot, right? Nothing else begins with an A. And it caused this one to fail because this one does begin with an A and it's a reverse of that. Okay, now let's do another one. Let's do the end. Okay, so I'm teaching you the anchors first. All right, so the anchors are first. Let's do the letter T. All right, and if we do the letter T, we got a lot of things that match T. Look at this one match T, but we're like, no. I want T to be at the end. How do I do that? So then I put a $, and that will say only the T's at the end. So now we have like some other ones, like there's one with a T that didn't match. So that locks it down to the end. Okay. So we've learned three things. We've learned, any sequence by itself, by default, is anywhere in the string. We've learned how to lock that to the beginning of the string, and we've learned how to lock it to the end of the string. And if we combine the beginning anchor and the ending anchor, we can create an exact match. And the reason this is important is because I see people write filters all the time that leave off the anchors. And let me show you what's wrong with that. If I do foo, right? All right, it's going to go ahead and pass it. And look at all the things that pass, right? So that's not the right thing to pass. But let's say I want to do, we have a foot and we have s foot. So let's do foot. Now we should get two matches, right? All of these feet. But I only want to do a foot. So I'm going to put this in here and nothing's going to match. Why? Why does that fail? Because nothing is just the word foot. This says match the exact word foot. And the reason this is important is because when you're doing other methods of matching, they will sometimes default to an exact match. But when you're using regular expressions, you have to have the anchors or it's going to be a mess. So we want to say, I want it to be a foot, and that will allow only one thing in. If I wanted to allow cat foot in, I could put cat foot, right? And now we have just cat foot. But what if I want to say, I want to allow cat foot or dog foot? Okay, so here comes the next part. Thank you for that. So let's go look for cat foot or dog foot. Okay, so let's go back all the way back to the beginning, and we talk about the keywords. So we search for cat, right? And we can search for dog, but we want both. Now you already know this answer because we did it with grep. So you put a bar, okay? And what the bar does is it combines the two together. So this is or. It says either cat or dog occurring anywhere inside of it. There is a cheat sheet here. You can just practice over here. You can keep using your cheat sheet. You should be fine. Where is it? It's down. There's lots of regex cheat sheets out there, but okay. I'm not cheating. No. So we're going to talk, but before we move on, I want you to this is a particular flavor of regex, and that is super important. And we'll get to what that means in a second here. I'm trying to see if you can change it. I can't remember if you can change the style of regex here. Warm up anchors. Okay. It never ends. All right. So what about any word that starts with an A and ends with a T, like at? Okay. Well, let's do that. So it starts with an A. So, okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We got to use the wildcards for that. Okay. So we'll get there. That's next. All right. So right now we have cat or dog. Now, you notice I didn't have to put parentheses around this or anything, right? Anything that has cat or dog is going to match, right? Now, if I wanted to have cat foot or dog foot, how would I do that? Okay, now we have a problem, right? Regex. So because we want to have cat or dog, we need to separate these off with a parenthesis. Okay, now that says either cat or dog and then followed by foot. So that's a grouping, okay? And you don't know this yet, but if you do this, this will make it not make a collection. We haven't got to regions yet, but we'll get there. But that you'll also see that means don't count the region, make it a comment, but just make it a grouping. So you see that now cat foot and dog foot both match, right? If we wanted to have, okay, so that's all of that. And then I'm going through this really fast because you can stop it and redo it. All right, so somebody asked, how do I match something that's at the beginning and someone who matches at the end? Okay, so let's do that. So we're going to do the beginning and the end. Okay, so we want anything that starts with a C that ends with T. Okay, now, but we got all this stuff in the middle and we don't know how to match that. Well, let's back all the way out and let's do this. Let's say I want to match everything. All right, So if I want, and it's not star, you think it would be star because but that's a glob, and we're going to cover globs later. I wanted specifically to cover regex before globs because globs can get confusing because the syntax is kind of the same. That's Perl only, by the way, Yarmo, unfortunately. Yeah, so we're gonna do match any character, period. Okay, the string atlas matched but shouldn't. Okay, so it's giving us stuff that should match. So a dot in regular expressions means any character at all, any single character. And if you want to increase its range, you can say, now here's where it gets interesting. Okay, so let's go back. I mean, I got two things that I got to combine here. So if I want to match a foot, I could do this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now I have 5 characters. Anything that has 5 characters, you see how it matches the 5 characters, right? And by the way, if I can put the limits on this, right? This still says any 5 characters anywhere. If I want to lock it down, I have to lock it down. And now I've got, only the stuff that has only 5 characters, right? So now it's only the stuff that has 5 characters. Now let's make it, nobody wants to type that many dots. So there's another way to write this. We can say dot, and then we can put 2 brackets, curly braces, whatever you want to call them. And we're going to say, I want exactly 5. You see that? So that says, I want 5 of the previous thing. And this is where regular expressions get really, really crazy because they start to look, it's like a total foreign language, right? Because you can do any combination of these things. That's why this is such a fun golf game. But you see that absolutely matches anything with 5. What happens if I take the anchors off, by the way? I wanted this to just match anything with 5 characters. Why is it matching everything? Why? Because it's everything that has 5 or more. Right? All right, how about this? One last thing before we move on from ranges. I'm going for kind of fast. I hope you're okay. But so we're going kind of fast. So that only matches things that have 5 characters. And these all have 5 characters exactly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm wrong column. Sorry. All right. So, but let's say I want to match anything that's got 5 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 characters. All right. So then we do 5, 7. And now it will say anything between 5 and 7 characters. All right. And that's pretty much everything, right? Because all of these things, we got 5 and 7. That's not really helping us much, right? I don't think there's anything with 6, but let's try. Is there anything with 6 characters? Oh, there is. There's one thing that has 6 characters. So this is like everything that has 5 and 6. Yes, it does. It matches the last 5 characters only. That's right. You can anchor it down. Now watch. There's one last thing with regard to ranges. No, it's the comma. You can actually leave the comma off. And what does that mean? What does that mean? And if I change the 5 to a 6, you'll see exactly what it means. It means anything that has 6 or more characters. Okay? So, God, they're going to show an ad in 4 minutes already? Have we already been that long? God, I thought we were going to be faster than that. They're going to force us an ad in 4 minutes. I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm going to go faster. We've almost got all of the regex stuff, and you can play around golf while we're taking our break. I'll only do a 3-minute break this time because I want to go fast. All right, so that's your ranges now, right? Now, there is if you group it, it combines it with it. Okay, it's just all of it adds up together. There is one more though. So there's a couple. This range here. Okay, so let me show you another range. What does that mean? What does that mean? That means 1 or more, right? Well, there's shorthand for this. The shorthand for 1 or more is a plus. Okay, in most regex. This is crazy because this actually varies between regex engines a little bit. All right, a plus means 1 or more. Same exact thing as this. Exactly the same, just easier to write. There's another one, 0 or more, which matches everything. Okay, thanks for the follow. And there's a 0 or more. What is the simpler way to write 0 or more? The simpler way to write 0 or more is a star. A star means 0 or more of that thing. By the way, the dot does not mean dot. No, it's well, minus is a different thing. So we're gonna do ranges yet. I don't know if we're gonna have time. Okay, so something else I want to. What happens if you want to match something that's got a period in it? Okay, what if I just do this? By the way, what if I just do a star? Why doesn't it match everything? Because it's not matching anything. Right, I was just going to cover it. Yeah. All right, so if you ever have something that you actually want to match, you can put a slash in front of it. And now nothing will match because there's no periods at all. This is the most common error I see with regard to regular expressions by far. Because people will put a dot for like .com or .sh or .pdf, and they'll just put a dot and they won't put or .html. They'll want to match .html and it'll end up matching .shtml, and they're like, I didn't want to match that. And the reason is because they put a dot instead of a slash dot, and the slash dot actually matches the dot character itself. Okay. And then we have all of the stuff that's related to what are called sets. And frankly, once we learn sets, you've pretty much learned all of regex, because everything else is a variation on a set. A set says, I want to have the letter A. Okay, let's see. Everything that's got an A in it just passed, right? I want to see everything that's got a D in it. That's 5 or more of any character. Yes, that's exactly right. So if we do D, what did that do? See how it picked up the D's? What if we add F? All the words that have an F. How about all the words that have an S? Okay, I mean, and that's pretty crazy, right? What if we want to do a range in our set, right? Actually, what if we want to invert that? Okay, look at all that stuff that matched. What if we want to invert it and say, I want everything that's not that? All right, I'm going fast here. What if you want everything that's not that? We put a caret, okay? And now it should be everything that's not that, but it matches everything. Why? Because every single thing has at least one character that's not that. But let's do this. Let's say I don't want anything with an A in it. Let's do that. Anything, I don't want anything with an A in it. Trading 1 week for 1 hour. All right, 1 minute, 3 seconds. This just says not A, and that's oh look, because we're not locking it down. That's weird. Look at that. Let's say everything that does not begin with A. Wait, everything that does not begin with A. How about that? Everything does not begin with A. All right, got 42 seconds. Everything that doesn't begin with A. There we go. Right. Or we could say everything that does not end in T. I mean, you can play this and figure out the rest. Okay, and then the last part of ranges, we have 30 seconds. It is case sensitive. It absolutely is. And you can say A through Z. All right. Now that's all the letters A through Z, or you can do A through M, and it uses the ASCII range. And this is when we come back from the break, I'm going to show you the modern take on this that uses Unicode. But we only have 10 seconds before it's going to force an ad on everybody. I'm very sorry, but there's an ad coming in 5 seconds. And when we come back, we'll do the more advanced sets. Ad starting soon, it says. So, has it started yet? How many minutes did I get? 15, 30, 45, an hour? That was an hour? God, that went fast. That was a lot of regex to take in. It definitely is. I told you I'm trying to take the call of the whole thing. I mean, this is not something that we can go through efficiency. That was really fast. I mean, that did go pretty fast. It does say the ads are starting. All right, so it gave us 3 more of pre-roll. Ad freedom still. What am I drinking? It's my wife's beer. My wife's Bulldog. Yeah, I stole it. It's kind of fruity. Watermelon, Bulldog, hard cider. Filling gaps in your knowledge? Oh, that's so great. I'm glad you said that. Makes me feel good. You know what? A lot of these gaps were filled for me by streaming. Yeah. Einstein's lesser known space-time equations. Oh. Yes, we have ad is 2 minutes. We have 2 minutes and 22 seconds before we're off the ad. I'm not a fan of fruity beer. No. I'm not. It was just cold. It was there. we're gonna do the next sets next. Yeah, we're gonna do then we're gonna do the POSIX ones, and then that's when things get really crazy, right? Yeah. Did the ads in for you? Person really could teach whole classes in regular. Absolutely. I had a student that I was mentoring, and I had him give a Friday night special session just on regex. Yeah, for like an hour or two or something. Watch the VOD. Time for sleep. Yes, if you have to go, that's fine. I get it. That's why we put it all in one 5-hour thing. Yep. Yep. 1 minute and 33 seconds before this ad's over. 2 more ads, it says, yeah. Oh, pardon me. And then we're going to be out of here. What does my calendar say, by the way? Yeah, I'm not going to make it to yoga tonight. I do want to go out and about. I'm going to go for a walk. Sometime tonight, we're going to go do some IRL. I don't know where I want to go, though. I might go back to... I don't know. I kind of want to... I don't even know. We're going to do... I don't know, something IRL. We're going to go do some IRL stuff. Live streaming in an hour? Where are you seeing that? I don't have that on mine. Why does it have that? Is it because it's a repeating thing? Yeah. Yeah, let's go jog. All right, we're almost done. We got 30 minutes left. We're going to just do regex and we'll be done for today. I didn't get to globs and some other stuff, but, we're in a good place. Standard, I do too. I do. There's variations on it that do. I use that. All right, if we're going to trust Twitch, they said they're telling me, Twitch is telling me that I have 6 seconds left for an ad. And then we're done. Oh, IR troll. We're definitely doing IRL stuff. Actually, I'm probably going to rebuild the rig, Jalopy. I'm going to rebuild it from scratch using Velcro, which I know you want to see. So that's coming up after this. All right, so here we go. Let's go back to the golf and cover the last things. And I'm kind of obsessed about parsing and stuff. So, all right, so we were doing the A through Z thing, right? But we didn't do A through. How about this? How about do capital A through Z? Okay, none of those match, and these do, so that's a bad thing, right? We don't want capital A's matching. Oh my God. Wait, what? No, that's at the end. We want this. Yeah, okay. See, this is matching now. See how it says I is matching too, right? Because it's capital. See how these don't match? Yeah, you need to go to bed. Yeah, your modem and Edgar came today? Oh, okay. So we're going to do the A here, A through Z. I'm glad to see this is helping you guys. So we have A through Z, right? Look at this. A through Z, range, out of order, and character class. This is where we start to have problems, okay? Because this is valid in most regular expression engines, including Perl. But what they want you to do is this, A through Z, A through Z, and you can combine them like this. And so you can put these on the same thing and you can combine them, okay? And this is just a thing. Okay, so let's go off the deep end when it comes to sets, S-E-T-S. So this is how you would say, hey, all of the letters, right? Well, what if you don't speak ASCII? Regular expressions were invented for ASCII. And there you go. Anya piped in. That's where her name comes from. ASCII. What is ASCII? So in order to understand regular expressions, you have to understand ASCII, which means you almost have to understand, binary and what characters are even mean. And we're not going to get into that really heavily until we start doing some coding. But I want you to find your favorite table here and go find an ASCII chart. And this will show you how the zeros and ones. So ASCII is the original translation of zeros and ones, digital, base 2, into things. And these are, you know, non-printable characters. But you have over here, you know, you start to get into the letters and the numbers, and these represent different things. So like a space, I think is 20, right? So, and I mean, there's better charts than this. I mean, there's all kinds of charts. You can go look. But the reason I mentioned ASCII is you have to understand it, at least partially, to understand where the sets came from, right? There are a number of named sets in POSIX. These are not existent in other things that begin with a colon. So you could say, God, what's the lower, I guess, right? Isn't lower one of them? Match all of these. Okay, so see this? See how lower matched them all? So I'm just giving an introduction. There are a number of POSIX regex sets. And I know these pretty well because I wrote my own parsing engine called Pagan. And should I plug my Pagan right now? Pagan.dev if you want to get into this stuff. That covers this. It's a way of defining your own expressions and grammars and stuff. I geek out on this kind of stuff. I do love parsing. It's a thing. So anyway, you can go into here is a summary. So I search for POSIX on Wikipedia, and you can see we have the meta character, we have a bracketed expression, we have the beginning, we have that, we have the end, we have the match. It's all the same things we just talked about. Now, this is the part where I wanted to talk to you about this. There are 3 basic families of regular expressions, and this is where stuff gets really weird. It's also the reason that Perl was created, one of the major reasons, because it's such a pain in the butt. There are no less than 3 major families of regular expressions, and I want to tell you what they are. So there's basic regular expressions, okay? There's extended regular expressions, ERE, BRE, and then there's simple or simpler regular expressions, the same as basic. And then there's PCRE, which are Perl compatible regular expressions, which are the universal standard. And I always bring this up every time somebody like says bad things about Perl. I'm like, oh, really? What's your favorite language? And they're like, well, I don't know, JavaScript. And I'm like, okay, you can be grateful to Perl for making your regular expression engine. Oh, do you like regular expressions? Yeah. Do you use them all the time? Yeah. You're using Perl. They're like, no, I'm not. Yes, you are. Want me to show you? Because Node and JavaScript, the engine, uses PCRE. PCRE is the library that implements the regular expressions in JavaScript. And it is literally Perl compatible regular expressions. If you are using regular expressions in Node or Go or Rust or any language on planet Earth, you are using Perl, because Perl defined the international standard for regular expressions, and to this day is still ahead of the curve on many of those things, including Unicode, which we'll talk about in a bit. So you have regular expressions all over the map, and it's really hard as an admin because you're like, well, in grep, which one am I using? Right? Should we try some of our stuff on grep? So, but let's finish up with the named sets for a second, okay? So we have there. You see, in basic, you have to put slashes in front of it, otherwise you don't. ERE, you don't. Dealing with doggos and dinner. I mean, no. So it was no hint. Rust has their own. They started with PCRE, but they eventually went away from it, and they're doing Rob Pike's implementation. Oh, Go is going away from it. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, PCRE stands for Perl Compatible Regular Expressions, and it has been the industry standard since '96. And it's interesting that people are starting to move away from it, and that's probably good that they are. And we're going to talk about, I want to get to the Unicode thing eventually, because ASCII, as we just talked about, does not cover all of the possible characters that people type in the world. And so there is a new set that covers Unicode, and a lot of people write bad code because they match a letter or they use one of the traditional ancient sets. Somebody did \W. Let's actually try that. So there are a number of shortcuts for these kind of things. We have lower, upper. These are POSIX standards, right? Upper, lower, alpha, digit. See this thing? But I'm going to tell you something right now. Don't use those. All right? I'm going to tell you why. Don't use the ASCII POSIX classes because they are insufficient for the modern world in 2020, full of emojis, full of kanji characters, and Cyrillic and every other thing out there. There is a new standard for matching sets that complies with Unicode. And it's not going to be covered in the POSIX standard at all. POSIX standard is way out of date on this. And the way that is covered is through the new standard the P set. And I, without going down a huge rabbit hole to explain what Unicode is to you, I will give you the TLDR. Unicode is the standard that was developed by Rob Pike, who also made Go and gang, Rob Pike and Ken Thompson, which is one of the reasons I like Go so much. Unicode standard to cover the representation of anything that we can convey digitally, and this is a really, really big deal, and it's extremely complicated to talk about. Suffice it to say that Unicode is what gives us emojis. It's what gives us Klingon. It's what gives us kanji. It's everything. And it uses a complex method of saying, okay, I need to use this many ones and zeros up to 255, the number 255 in decimal. And after that, it's like, okay, if the number is bigger than that, then let's start using a new rule set and it'll use more ones and zeros. And it's complicated, but that's what constitutes the Unicode code planes. And there's lots and lots of there's no back references. Did not know that. Does it support Unicode? Yeah, most of them do. And so there are a lot of things. So the reason I'm saying this is because in the old days, and I mean the old days, nobody should do this now. This is completely irrelevant today. Almost irrelevant. So in the old days, instead of there's a Perl thing, it's interesting to see if they're going to cover this. There was a Perl shortcut that said word character. So the W means a word character. Any character that's a part of a word. That means not a dot. You have to go look up what it is, right? That's very common to do that. There's another one called S, which means anything with a space. S stands for a tab, a space, a line return, or any of those things. And you have a capital S, which means not a space, right? And you can use these shortcuts that were made popular by Perl, but in many ways the space stuff is still relevant, but the other ones are not. Because what you're actually wanting to say is, I want a letter character. I want a letter character. I don't want just an ASCII letter character. Maybe you do because you get into some kind of password thing, but very rare, right? So usually what you're going to want is something that they probably don't cover yet. And I'm guessing we're going to see right now if they cover it. And it looks like they don't. They don't cover it on regex golf, which is very, very sad because it's so new. So the new thing to do Unicode code point regular expression class F. No, we're gonna. So yeah, it's not F. It's /U if you want the actual Unicode code point. If you want there it is, PL, where L is the Unicode. Oh, it's without the brackets. It looks like. Let's try it. Please have it. I hope it has it. Does it have it? Nope, it doesn't have it. Regex Golf is dead. I hate to say it, but Regex Golf is dead, my friends. Does that mean uppercase letter? What is it? Did I get it wrong? Please let me have it wrong. I want to have it wrong because I want it to work. See, there we go. Where L is a Unicode category. Matches a single Unicode code point, which is, in Go they call them runes. And that includes emotes, emojis, anything, right? It says specific Unicode category. Matches a single Unicode code point in a specific Unicode category. So here it puts them all together, right? And you can put the category name here and all of this. So this is, and if you're using modern regular expressions, and this is hopefully a gap filler for some of our veterans out there, you should be using \P for everything, because P is for Unicode categories, and primarily letter. The Unicode character for a letter right here. And you want to use these, but they're not really popular all over the place. So you might have to look at your language to see. So that is a way of saying I want any letter character in any language, right? There's also one for spaces that will cover any space character in any language, and you don't have to get really precise about what that is. There's ones for all kinds of different things. You can look up all the different code planes. You can do ranges on the code plane, but in the age of Unicode, regular expressions are showing their age, and you want to make sure your language supports \p. I'm happy to say that Go does support that, but that Bash, as far as I know, does not. Perl does support it. In grep, for example, I don't know. Let's go see. Let's go see what grep supports. And again, it depends on the version of grep. The reason Perl was made was because of all of these discrepancies in different versions of things. I suspect if we use grep let's use grep. So let's look at man grep. So first of all, my grep, my grep is mapped to PCRE grep, which is a program you can install. Let's see if we can do man grep and see what we get. So we get all these different kinds of patterns. I feel like we've covered regular expressions now. So grep, modern grep on Linux lets you say, I want to use the basic ones, the old school ones. I want to use the Perl ones, or I want to use the extended ones, right? Now, keep in mind that if you're on any of the Unix systems other than Linux, that these are not going to be supported, including BSD. It includes Mac, right? So a lot of these other extras are not included in different versions of grep, which is one of the main reasons Perl was invented in the first place, because they wanted a universal standard for what was being used. You can change case matching and stuff like that, read from a regular expression, word control. You can change whether it matches multiple lines or not. You can have color lineup, just lots of stuff. Bonsoir. So let's go back here. We're about done for the day, but we got a few minutes left. Let's do. So I know that's pretty boring, but I really need to make sure that you know regular expression exists, and the fact that I talk really fast in 2 hours about regular expression, it's not ever going to do it justice. But this, unfortunately, is one of the things you're just going to have to practice. And I would say go to regex golf. But more importantly, this makes me actually want to update my tool. I wrote a tool for this very thing called regex, and I have to update it. I don't want to confirm my account recovery keys right now. If you go to rbxrob/regex, it might not be currently, but what it is it's a compiled Go program that you can run from the command line that will test you on your regex. So you can actually run your own kind of regex golf if you want to do that. If you have questions about that, ask me in the Discord, but it's rbxrob/regex, and it's a command that you can play around with that uses Go, which does use the full version of the regex. It can also do the versions that groupings and stuff like that. So what it does is the top line of your file is the regular expression, and then whatever's in the file after that is the file that it's checking against. So if you have a complicated file that's multi-line and you want to make a regular expression match against it that fits on one line, you can make that the first line, and then it takes everything under there. So you can kind of train yourself. I did this because I was doing a lot of question and answer evaluation for tests and stuff, and I just needed a thing. It actually uses term box and some stuff, and you can run it. You can run it in a separate tmux window, and I'll demonstrate all of that at another time, probably when we get into the Go thing. I need to make sure it works. Still, we did sets. Yep. So, yeah, we did sets already. We did ranges, and we're not going to cover. Okay, so every time you put something in a parentheses like this, it actually adds to one of the items that gets returned out of that. And to get into this, we kind of have to understand what an array is and what a set is and all of that. I'd prefer that you just stick with the basic matching capabilities right now for grep, and know that the regex stuff is there that you can invoke if you want to. 9 times out of 10, when you're doing grep, you're just doing a keyword, right? And you're just, grepping foo out of it and see if there's a word there. And so, there's one, right? Hey, look, it got football team. Yes, let's do globs. Okay, so we need to switch and talk about globs before we end. And I'm running out of voice here. So we're going to be ending in 38 minutes maximum because that's when my next ad is up. Okay, so this is pretty much all I can do in one day. Okay, so we did regex golf. We didn't do linking to a file. I guess we're going to do that tomorrow. How do I find stuff? We did that. Unix Philosophy, pipes and filters. We did that. How do I link to a file directory? We'll do that, I guess, next week. Link directory 06, vi 06, readme. I mean, these things we've seen them, but we haven't learned how to do them yet. For the rest of the boost, well, we will be using them every once in a while, but we're not going to be using them really heavily. But it is really, really important that you know them because they are everywhere when it comes to parsing and doing stuff like that. But it's one of those things where I just want you to know that it exists so you can go back to it when you need to use it. But it is a huge part of using grep, which is why we're talking about it now. All right, so let's do grep. I mean, let's do, oh crap. Please tell me I didn't do what I think I did. This is what I get. Okay, what's a glob? All right, so let's talk about the other thing when it comes to matching text, okay? They used to run whole scripts and websites. Absolutely. Yeah, they're everywhere. They're in VI. We're going to be using them a lot to do matches and to do searching and all that kind of thing. When we start using ed, we're going to be using them. They're going to be popping up all over the place. So you at least need to know they're there. I don't expect anybody to master regular expressions even in the next 10 weeks. You're going to be, looking them up all the time. But that's kind of a whirlwind tour of them. So you can go back. There are cheat sheets out there you can go look at, but just keep in mind that whole thing about the Unicode stuff because a lot of those cheat sheets are out of date. So we're going to do the isosec thing here and we'll put this one up and we'll do what's a glob. And, okay. So a glob, or otherwise known as a glob star, is a simpler method of matching than regular expressions by far. But I wanted to show you it. First of all, glob star matching, okay, so you remember when we did find, right? So we did find and we said, okay, I want to find all the files that have the name forget in them, or have FO in them. How about that? Star, FO, star. And that'll show me all the files that have FO in there. That is a glob. And the simplest form of a glob is just a star. Now, do you remember the difference between this and a regular expression star? They're different, right? I know this is a lot to take in, but what's the difference between a star and a regular expression star? Make sure you understand that difference. In a glob, the star means any character whatsoever. It literally means 0 or 1 of a thing, anything. And the equivalent of a star in a regular expression is dot star. That means 0 or more of any one thing. Actually, yeah, that's right. So it's very important you get the difference. Okay. If the other thing, so the most important thing with a glob is the star, hands down. It's going to be the thing that you're going to use more than ever in any other way. And some programs use globs because they're nice and easy to use. The other major thing that you're going to use in a glob is the question mark. Okay. And a question mark means exactly one character. Now, why did that match all those files that only have F and one character after them? because those are the only, and by the way, did you see how I did the name, right? Yep, there you go. You got it. So if I want something that's exactly any file that's exactly 3 characters long, I can do this. I can do this. If I want 4 characters long, I can do this. We're going to talk about that. That's a globstar expansion, but we're getting there. All right, I want you to see something else too. This is something about find we didn't talk about before. Why are these things showing up even though when you use name is different than path, okay? And I'm going to put this down here. So find, we're going to do name. Okay, so that's like find everything with 3-letter name. Find files, directories. Yes, I do. I definitely record them. Yeah, we can come back another time. I'm going to do IRL stuff later. Yeah, let's do this. So let's do this. Let's say, let's do this. If I do path, all right. If I do path, what do we got? So we could say find directories with get anywhere in path. Those are very different, and it's a really popular. So I wanted you to see that. See how this gives you any file that has 4 characters, any file or directory that has 4 characters. But if you do path, watch, it'll be all of them. This should be anyway. I know I did nothing. That's weird. Did I get that wrong? What am I doing? Missing closing quoted not get. Oh, right. Yeah. I don't know why that's happening. I know why that's happening. Did I get path wrong? Oh, I know. Because there's nothing that only has 4 characters in it. Okay, that's why. Yeah, for this to work, I have to do this. There, now it'll give anything. Right? So then I can do get. And that'll be anything with get in the path. In the path. Anywhere in the path. So we could do like foo in the path. And see, it's got footer and it's got foo, right? If I do foo in the name, it'll only, well, they're both got foo in the name. So anyway, star means anything. 0 or more of anything. Question mark means exactly one of something. Anything but exactly one. And there's no way to lock down the beginning and end that I know of. I've never used it if there is. And that's pretty much it. The only other thing to know about a glob is double star. So, and we'll get this when we do our bash stuff. You'll start to see this. But the difference between ls star, which says I want to see everything, right? Let me zoom in. The difference between ls star and ls star dash star is it does it that way. So let's do all the text files. So let's star.txt. I want to see all the text files, right? So let me do this again so it's clear. So this says list all the text files in the current directory. Yeah, you can do find or ls. ls is a common thing. And what I'm about to show you doesn't work on many Unix systems because they don't have this extra globstar expansion. Through a dot in a file name. No, it does not. I think it ignores them. Yeah, I think it actually ignores them. Yeah, I can't remember. You might want to test that. But watch what happens when I do this. What happens when I do */ Okay, you see what it did? On boost. Yeah. It's on YouTube. Just go to RWX Rob on YouTube. Yeah. So as you can see, every file that ended in .txt would work. Now, okay, well, what's the difference? What's the difference, GB, between this and this? They both look similar, right? How come they're different? One of them missed something. It's very important that we grab that distinction. I want to make sure everybody understands that. It's really, really important. What's the difference between 2 stars and 1 star when you're using globs? Okay. So the 1 star means I want to list any file that has anything as a name with the ending .txt. Right? That was this one. Yes, recursion. So that was this one. And then the next one that Gbrow was suggesting is this one. Now, this one gave us all of the files in exactly one subdirectory under here that end in txt, but it left out footer.txt. Okay? Yeah. So it left out footer.txt. And that's where the magic of the modern double globstar comes in. So this is a relatively recent addition to Unix and Linux. But what this says is recursively. And this is extremely powerful. When we get to building websites with Pandoc, we will be able to do something like this and put .md for markdown, and we will be able to render every single markdown page as HTML recursively through an entire website in one line. We're going to write in Bash, we're going to write a static site generator in 10 lines of Bash code. In 10 lines of Bash code using Pandoc, we will write a static site generator that will automatically make a full website using nothing more than Markdown because of this. So that's why I want to mention it to you. It's really important. You might have to enable it. It is considered somewhat dangerous because it is recursive. So, it follows everything down below. And, that's very, very powerful. You could do it with make and bash. No. Yeah, you can do it with make and bash if you want, but you don't even need make. You need 10 lines of bash. You're done. I've actually done that. There's already a video on that if you want to watch that. It took me 2 hours to get through it though, because I was having so much fun describing it. I see pre-roll ads are back. Make it with Node.js. No. Nope. That would be a no. A polite no. So that is the end of Globstar. And I believe that's going to be the end of the boost for today. Again, the boost is designed to get you using things and playing around with them. We covered a lot of stuff today. I feel like we should probably let you rest and digest some of this stuff. And if you're following along, thank you very much for hanging with us. I will be updating these videos tomorrow. I have to wait at least 1 day before I post it because of the Twitch requirement. And I did want to mention that this is the only thing I will be posting to YouTube for a while. I just found out today that YouTube significantly degrades. Either Twitch is degrading the export of VODs to YouTube, or YouTube has chosen to really horribly screw up exported videos from Twitch. Either way, the result I just discovered today after doing my wife's art gallery stuff is that it's completely useless to export to YouTube. So I will no longer be exporting Twitch VODs to YouTube at all, other than the boost. The boost is going to be the only one, but just know that the quality of the boost videos is not going to be as good. It also means that I am going to be more proactively creating full text stuff about that. Co-working is not, I'm not pushing co-working. No, there's really no reason to. I'm just going to link to this stuff on Twitch. Anybody who wants to see it can come to Twitch and watch it. And then I don't have to do anything. See if it makes more work, saves me work. The art stuff, I'll be making duplicate 4K copies for that for my wife, but that's just a technical detail. I just wanted to let everybody know about it. It's basically, if you want to see stuff, you need to come to Twitch. And if you don't have access to Twitch at work, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened, but I don't know why. My RC channel, nope. I let it die. I let my IRC channel die, and you can use the IRC channel through Twitch. It's another reason to stick with Twitch, because you can use the IRC channel through Twitch. So that's what we've got there. As for the rest, you can IRC here. Yeah, I actually have if you go to my about page, I have a Twitch without the Twitch, and you can use that. Anya, you can use IRC on Twitch, right? There's a video about how to do that on YouTube. If I do continue to put things on YouTube, it'll be a way to discover me, but the IRL content is not going up on there. IRC, since the EAX days. Yes. Yep. Yeah. And ask you can run WeChat. You just have to go get an OAuth token and you put it in your WeChat or whatever you want to use. XChat, any of that. Really great stuff. All right. So, for those of you who want to stick around, I'm going to take a brief break. And when I come back, I will be rebuilding. I'm going to be reassembling my IRL rig. So I'm just going to put a plug-in for this. Anybody who wants to look at this, I'm going to be reassembling the IRL rig using all my Velcro attachment points. And I'm going to be going over in detail exactly what everything is and what all the components are doing and how they work together and why you want to do it this particular way. That will be coming up. I'm going to be highlighting that VOD because that's going to be the definitive, here's how my IRL rig works if you want to make one. So if you want to make your own Twitch, that VOD's getting saved for damn sure. If you want to do that, that'll be available. And I'll be taking questions for, Jalopy, if you need to go to bed, that's cool. I get it. I'm going to be making tweaks to it, but I now feel like I've got it solid enough that I can document it. And because it's been working consistently. Yesterday, it turns out the problem, by the way, was my Ethernet cable was loose. All those blackouts and stuff, that was all because the Ethernet cable was loose. Yeah, it's slowly wiggled loose. So you might want to watch that. If I had just plugged that Ethernet cable in, we wouldn't have had that problem last night. 48-hour stream. Let's go. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you get some good out of this. Please spread the word. Help your fellow. Pass it forward, whatever you want to call it. And if you have any feedback that you want to give me, please do. You can use the Discord. I am actually going to be using the Discord a lot more. I love that they're calling me Geezer. I was calling myself Geezer with a GoPro last night, and I've been thinking about changing my name to Geezer with a GoPro. So I think it would be great. I just think it'd be fun. Geezer with a GoPro, I know. And we'll be having some more fun later. It's 3D print. I know. I want to 3D print it too. Yeah, we got to figure that out. Such a rig could be much smaller. It would be integrated. I think it could be. Frank, I know. We should do that. Yeah, we should do that. And by the way, to all of our boosters out there, again, I just want to repeat the reason I need to finish the song. I haven't finished it yet. I know. We need to figure out how to get a smaller rig that uses Linux. And this is, we can make our own things using Linux. By the way, this Bella box that was created through open source because of Linux is an open source alternative to something called a live view, which is base price for the live view is like $1,300 with like a $200 a month, like forced rental rate or something like that. So smaller would be Raspberry Pi. I mean, we could probably try that too. All right, everybody. I'm going to sign off for now, and I'm actually going to turn the stream off or something. Okay. It's been great. Bye. Do 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 do.